2026. Honourable members, in the absence of any corrections, the vote and proceedings of Friday, 19th June 2026 is hereby adopted as the true record of proceedings. Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you know, the whole of yesterday, Accra, and I think the Greater Accra region suffered massive flooding as a result of the torrential rains that we experienced. Even though a statement ought to have been admitted by you before we can make it. This morning, the Minister for the Interior, with your indulgence, would want to make a brief statement on the flooding situation and some of government's responses to that situation. So, Mr. Speaker, if you indulge us, the Minister for Interior, who is in the chamber with us, will make that statement. I do sincerely apologize that the statement hasn't been ready in terms of a hard copy to be given to you for your perusal and prior approval.
Yes.
Speaker, I think the Leader of the House has just raised a very important matter. We're all struck by the extent of the devastation. But I thought we had earlier engaged, Leader, I thought we had earlier engaged and had indicated the chair of the committee who had even given me a copy of a prepared statement. Well, maybe it's an afterthought, it's fine. There should be no issue. But from the outset, my colleague who last week he was in the House and he sought to come under 93. Meanwhile, Leader had earlier indicated that he was coming under 91. As we must send a general caution to all ministers. If you are coming under 91, do so and say so. And the statement must be rooted through your whip or Roxy, do you want to gag me? The statement, because it must be rooted through the whip or the Leader of the House, and the Leader will mean it appropriately to the Speaker. It is the Speaker who admits statement. Ministers cannot just walk to the chamber and present statement. This is the Parliament of Ghana, an arm of government. And you belong to the executive, who is also an arm of government. So, subject yourself to due process, bring your statement for it to be minuted on, and the Speaker will decide whether to admit or not. Because it's very important. You know, when you come, we will listen to you, so you just come and present statement. What is that? Minister, don't do that again. Next time, go to the process. So on this occasion, are you coming under 91 or 93? You are coming under 91. And it's going to be policy. Policy. Okay. Speaker, you had earlier also submitted or transmitted a statement.
Yes.
That's time the name of the Honorable Assent. So you have given some guidelines, which I have communicated same to him. So, he's here. So maybe, Speaker, you exercise your discretion, how the statement should be taken. Of course, I'm not opposed to Honorable Muntaka's statement, but the Honorable Assent also has a statement. He went through the due process. In fact, interestingly, he went through the due process. The whip minuted on it and transmitted same to the Speaker. Speaker, I'm grateful.
you want to talk about the due process, then that statement is not mature to be taken. Because the due process is that after admitting it, I would transmit it to the clerk, and then the clerk will also minute it to the clerk at table. It will be captured by the order paper, then it's ready to be read. Then the process is complete.
Speaker, you are the master of the rules. So I will not seek to challenge you. We can proceed.
Very well. Very well. So you said it rightly that we are masters of our own rules. I will therefore give the floor to the minister responsible for Interior to make his statement under Order 91. So, Minister, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me thank my colleagues for their indulgence, for indulging me, and to say that, as you may know, Mr. Speaker, anytime you have to come under Order 91, then it's minister and giving government policy. But when you come under 93, it could be an urgent public issue that you needed to draw attention of the public. And that was why usually I prefer to come under 93, where I'm a member of parliament. Even if you are a minister, you are not a member of parliament. By virtue of being a minister, you are an ex-officio member of parliament. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to thank the House for the indulgence and to say that we had an incident that is reoccurring. And Mr. Speaker, the flood that affected the Greater Accra was something that, yes, the Ghana Meteorological Agency drew our attention and told us that we should expect more rains this June and July. Yes, it's something that they mentioned to us. But what they try to do is that on daily basis, they try to give us, at least in 6 hourly basis, the likelihood of what will happen. Mr. Speaker, let me state that what happened yesterday came to our attention only around midnight of the day before yesterday. That yes, the rains, as they predicted, will be coming, but they are expecting that it to be a little heavier than they expected. So even as at that time, they could not really tell us about the quantum of water we should expect. But Mr. Speaker, by the time we got to the morning, we saw a volume that is the 4th highest that this country has ever seen since 1995. A volume of 169 millimeters of water in a day. And Mr. Speaker, as you may see from the videos and the surveillance cameras, it flooded largely almost all Accra. It prevented people from coming into the central business center of the Accra, the center of Accra, because almost all the peripheries were affected. Mr. Speaker, 25 communities were affected. And with your permission, I will just go ahead and mention those communities that were heavily affected in the yesterday's rain. Mr. Speaker, we had Apollonia, or maybe I should just do the municipals, the metropolitan assemblies. In that one, there are 18 assemblies that were largely affected by the Monday, rains. And these are Ga East, Lajokuku, Ayawaso Central, Ga Central, Ga West, Ablekuma North, Ningo Prampram, Weja Bawe, Ga South, Adenta, Kolikote, Okankwe South, Okankwe North, Tama West, Tama Metropolitan Assembly, La Dade Kotopong, and Krowo. Mr. Speaker, the number of persons that were displaced in the various municipalities are Ga East. We had 2,000 persons being displaced, and that's 400 households. We had 6 missing individuals and 5 deaths from Ga East alone. Lojokuku, we had 1,200 displaced with 240 households, 1 missing and 3, Lojokuku, there was no missing person, but we had 1 death. Ayawaso Central, 3,021 persons were displaced, and that's 605 households. We had 1 person missing, and then 3 deaths. The Speaker, Ga Central, 1,811 individuals were displaced, 363 households. We didn't have any missing or dead person. Ga West, equally, we didn't lose anybody and nobody got missing, but the number of persons that were displaced were 2,300 and then 460 households. Ablekuma North, 651 displaced, 131 households, no missing or dead person. Ablekuma, Nungo Pram, 1,377 displaced, 276 households. Wejabawe, 2,500 households, 2,500 individuals, 500 households. Ga South, 2,100 displaced, 420 households. Adenta, 1,850, 370 households. Kolekote, 6,500 displaced, amounting to 1,300 households. Okankwe South, 701 displaced, 141 households. Okankwe North, 2,620, and then 524 households. Tema West, we had 690 households displaced with 3,450 individuals displaced. Tema Metropolitan Assembly, we have 721 households displaced, which affected 3,601 individuals. In the case of Tema West, we had 3 persons that lost their life. La Dade Kotopong, we had 404 households displaced, amounting to 2,020 individuals. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, Krowo, we had 220 households displaced and 1,100 individuals displaced without any death. Mr. Speaker, when you put all these numbers together, we have a total of 7,761 households that were displaced, with 38,802 individuals affected, with 7 persons still missing as of this morning, because, Mr. Speaker, I've been at the Finance Committee in the past 3 hours. I've not been able to read my briefs this afternoon. I don't know whether many more have been found, but 7 people as of this morning were displaced, and the total death are 12 individuals that we lost. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to extend our condolences and that of government and the people of Ghana to the families that lost their family members, and we assure them we are with them in this difficult moment. We know many people could not be in their homes and even sleep in their homes, but government is doing whatever it can. Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I'll mention some information from Central Region that also happened last 2 weeks, which I have the details. In Central Region, Mr. Speaker, last 2 weeks, we had 58 houses that collapsed. And for those of us who are very familiar with Central Region and the kind of houses, because of the mud houses, some of them are the bricks, some of the houses were over 100 years old, but these were the districts and how they were affected. Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly lost 20 houses, Gomoa East 2 houses, Gomoa West 1 house, AOB 2 houses, Aguna East 7 houses, Gomoa Central 1 house, Tufo Ahima Lower Dentra 6 houses, AAK 4 houses, Mfansiman 5 houses, Asin South 1 house, Asin North 7 houses, Efutu 2 houses. And Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, there too we lost 18 individuals, as per the report that was sent to me. In Cape Coast, death by building collapse 5, death by drowning 1, Gomoa Central, death by building collapse 1, death by drowning 1, Mfansiman, death by building collapse 2, death by drowning 1, Chofi Ati Monkwa, that's TAM, death by drowning 1, Upper Dentre West, death by drowning 3, Aguna West, death by drowning 1, Upper Dentre East, death by drowning 2. Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, I also have some information from Volta region. Volta region, the number of communities that were affected were in excess of 60 communities. I must admit, based on the information that we have, they were not life-threatening, situation in the case of Volta region, but the districts that were affected were Keta, and it had 7 communities that were affected. Anlo had 6 communities that were affected. Ketu South had 6 communities that were affected. Ketu North had 6 communities that were affected. South Tong had 8 communities that were affected. Akachi had 9 communities that were affected. Gotiman Zokwe had 6 communities that were affected. Adakulo had 2 communities that were affected. Central Tong had 3 communities that were affected. North Tong had 2 communities. Whole municipalities had 8 communities that were affected. Mr. Speaker, the same can be said of Western North, where in Samraboy we had a number of communities that were sunk. In fact, we had in excess of over 1,200 persons that were displaced in the Samraboy and its environs. Mr. Speaker, in the nutshell, to say that this was something that was real a difficulty for us as a country. I must admit, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the statistics that we received from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, it clearly states that in the month of June, we normally expect a lot of rains. But what happened yesterday gave us 169.2 millimeters of water. And this is the 4th largest volume of water in a day since 1995. And for the month of June, we had a total in month of June of 593.2 millimeters of water. And Mr. Speaker, is the highest our country has ever received in its history in 1 month, 593.2. The closest was in 2002, and that was 420.6 millimeters. And the other one was 2015, 380.3 millimeters. And these statistics, Mr. Speaker, I'll make it available for the House, are the things that, so it clearly shows that, yes, the human activities, pouring, refuse into our drain, building on waterways, all contributed. But naturally, it clearly shows that even if we had everything right, the kind of rains that we received in June and yesterday will have necessarily created some overflow and created some problem for us. Mr. Speaker, what has been government interventions since we got to know that we were going to run into crisis? Mr. Speaker, you realize that the Minister of Interior gave an alert and advisory to all citizens, especially in and around Accra, to stay home, and we're able to do this very early. Mr. Speaker, we believe that that has contributed largely into minimizing the kind of crisis that we could have had. Because if all persons around that rush hour were in traffic where they could not turn around and other things, and worst case, maybe fire gutted into it, maybe we'll have been counting much losses than we are seeing today. Mr. Speaker, there were a number of fires that also came with yesterday's rain. We have the Odona market that there a lot of makeshift structures were burnt. We also had fire in Tema. We had, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I want to give some of the statistics that we received. Odona market, yes, the fire came in around 8:08 in the morning, just around the peak of the the rain, and we did all we could, but it came under control at 11:33, almost midnight, and we're able to finally put it off around 2:32 a.m. this morning. The Speaker, we also had fire in Tema, but fortunately, it wasn't, we didn't lose any life. It wasn't also very severe because we were able to deal with it. There was also a newly built 4-floor house that collapsed, fortunately at Tabola. Fortunately, no life was lost because all the occupants left the building before it collapsed. Mr. Speaker, all these statistics, since yesterday, His Excellency the President of the Republic had to fly over to see the extent of the damage, and this morning, graciously, last night, the President instructed that from their contingency fund, we should be able to access some money. And I'm happy to state, I know the Finance Committee may come and brief the floor and give much details. A total amount of 350 million is being targeted to be used to help in dealing with the challenges that we have. Mr. Speaker, the President has instructed that 200 million will be targeting relief items to this close to over 10,000 households that have been affected across the whole coast. And the 150 will be used to mitigate the flood issues within this, the coastal area. Mr. Speaker, I must admit, when you look at Act 927, that's the National Disaster Management Organization Act. When you look at Section 21 of the Act, it clearly stipulates the Disaster Management Committee. And in the Disaster Management Committee, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, we have almost all the relevant agencies being there, and it is chaired by the Minister for the Interior. As we speak, a meeting has been called at the Presidency involving all these ministers to come so that we put our heads together and make sure that we deal with the issue. Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, Section 21, National Disaster Management Committee. There is established a National Disaster Management Committee. The National Disaster Management Committee is subject to subsection 3, comprises A, the Minister for the Interior as chairperson, Director General, that's for the Director Generals of the NADMO, that's National Disaster Management Committee, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Director General of the National Ambulance, the Chief Directors of each of the following ministries: Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Ministry of Information and Media Relations, Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Inspector General of Police, the Chief Fire Officer, the Chairperson of the National Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, Climate Change Management, one representative of the Consortium of Non-Governmental Organizations, one representative of the Interagency Standing Committee of the United Nations Country Team, one representative of the Ghana Federation of Disabled, and the legal officer of the National Disaster Management Organization as Secretary. Mr. Speaker, we are of the view that we don't need to only go there with our chief directors. We want the ministers themselves to be there with the support of their chief directors, so that we give it the necessary attention that it requires. Mr. Speaker, we want to assure this House that these resources that is being extended to this committee will make sure that it is put to the best of use. We have even started the move with the acting defense minister that we should put our 48 engineers regiment in place to use the resources in making sure that all those clearance that needs to be done is done by the 48 engineers, so that we do not have to waste time in going through procurement challenges and all that. So we'll be using our own military to carry out as much as possible all they can be able to do. So, Mr. Speaker, yes, we've lost 12 lives, which is very unfortunate. I want to believe that as a country, we probably have to work very hard to ensure that we minimize these losses. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak on one of our prominent media houses, and I said, disasters will always come. It is how prepared you are that will determine the amount of loss that may be occurred. Because, Mr. Speaker, today, and I'm saying it not to water down the effect, but just to draw all of us attention, that America is the richest country in the world. And one of its richest states is California. California state is the richest state in America. In fact, standing on its own, is the sixth largest economy in the world. Yet they had disaster and people lost their life. But they have all the money, they have all the measures. We are not using this as an excuse. Water will always come, but we must do what we can as people. And we are looking at this as a whole of government and a whole of society approach. We are looking at it as a whole of government and a whole of society approach, where individuals will have to take their responsibility, assemblies have to take their responsibility, those of us in government will have to take our responsibility and work very hard to ensure that we do not lose life unnecessarily. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the House for the audience, and I hope that in our contribution, we will make sure that we do not degenerate this into politicking when our people are dying and people really need relief. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, leaders, how many comments each are we taking? In view of the fact that we have other two statements on a similar subject matter.
Mr. Speaker, just before we agree on the number, if the minister can give us a copy of the statement he just read.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we had agreed that.
Honourable members, the background noise is too much.
We had agreed that we would take two statements on the same subject matter. One from the chairman of the Works and Housing Committee, and then one from, Sanitation, Water and Sanitation Committee, and then one from the former Minister for Works and Housing.
Yes.
Speaker, with respect, the minister came under Order 91 of the rules of this House. 93. Well, whichever rule you came under, the provisions are very clear. There must be prior approval from Speaker, which suggests that Speaker would have seen a copy of the statement and approve of state that it complies with. Don't worry. Mr. Speaker, I submit that there is no formal ministerial statement. Because, Mr. Speaker, we are here. The leaders, 5 year. At least, members should have copies of this ministerial statement. Mr. Speaker, at a point, the minister delved into politics. He moved away from whatever formal statement and was now raising very controversial issues. So you should make available the copy of the statement which was approved by you. Let us have printed copies, or even soft copies should be put on the console, so that members who want to contribute will properly anchor their submissions. We don't want situations where you would come and say you didn't say this and somebody is misconstruing you. So make it available. Mr. Speaker, you have always been insisting on the rules. But if a cabinet minister decides to take the law into his own hands, Mr. Speaker, the entire House will be watching the pronouncement that will come out from the presiding officer. Thank you.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we can excuse the minority leader for all the things that he has said, because he he was late. He came into this chamber after we had commenced proceedings. And he came much after we had sought your permission in the absence of a formal written statement, given the exigencies of the times, for the minister to make a statement to the House. A statement need not be written. A statement need not be written. But in any case, the Speaker dispensed with those requirements and granted the minister the permission. And I expressly stated when making the application to the minister that the statement was not ready. I made that statement, that it wasn't ready. But the matter is so urgent that he should grant leave for the minister to make the statement. And he did grant leave for the minister to make statements. And the statement has been very rich, a lot of facts, details, dates, incidents that have occurred, the locations where the incidents have occurred. And the moment when the statement is made, every member is supposed to, in silence, listen. And having listened, you are deemed to have received copies of the statement because you have heard every single sentence. You have heard every single sentence. You have become aware. You have become aware of the facts. The facts. Because the statement is about facts. And you have become aware of the facts. And so, having become aware of the facts, if the Speaker now gives us the opportunity to comment, you can comment on the basis of what you have heard. That is perfectly the practice in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, like I indicated, we had agreed that the two statements will be taken. The one by the chairman of Sanitation and Water, and then the former Minister for Works and Housing. So let's have those ones. After that, we can comment on the statements.
Honourable members, as a matter of fact, every parliament, leadership guides the person who is presiding, and issues are carried out by consensus. So when issues of this nature crop up and the leaders available reach some consensus based on which the act is taking place, I am personally worried to place on record that the whole world will be listening to the ruling that will come from Mr. Speaker. If the House has agreed to do an act, must I rule on that? So, Honorable Minority Leader, before you came, there was some consensus on both House. Honorable Anodompre raised the issues that you have raised, but at the end of the day, there was an agreement that the minister be given the opportunity to make the statement, irrespective of the fact that the procedure has not been followed. He even indicated that as masters of our own rules, we could allow him to do so based on the exigency of the event. So this was what really happened. Yes?
With respect, I think my leader is on all fours right. The issue I raised are substantially different from what my leader is raising. I had raised issues on procedure, and Speaker, you had concluded that yes, we are masters of our own rules, and hence he could be allowed. My leader is raising a matter concerning where the leader has veered off the minister has veered off into other matters, which will generate controversy and debate. So, Speaker, he is setting the stage, and we want fairness. So when we are contributing to the statement, and there are instances where we are referring to the instances he referred to, we should not be described as generating debate or controversies. That is the point, and that is the crux of the matter.
I have listened to the leader, and you've also listened to the leader. Leader is demanding a copy of the statement. Am I right or wrong?
We shouldn't, with respect to you, we shouldn't overly simplify the matter. It was not just a demand of a copy of the statement.
Yes, so...
He also raised a concern, Speaker, he also raised a concern that the honourable member, the minister, veered off and said other things. In fact, we took copious notes of what the things he said. So when we are making references and we are contributing and we make these references,
yes,
we hope that we will not be described as veering off and being offensive of the rules.
By our rules, where you feel the minister veered off, you can draw my attention. I will ask leader to withdraw or order that same be expunged from the record. And that should be the application made to me.
We'll proceed. We want to make progress. Our man is also ready.
No, but I want us to agree on these things. You can make an application to me that on ABCD, you feel the minister veered off. So you want the minister to withdraw. If he fails to withdraw and I feel that it's something that should not go into the record, I can direct that same be expunged from the record. But that was not the application before me. Yes.
Speaker, my issue was basically that the minister at the dispatch box submitted that upon receiving warning from Accra Metro that in June there will be torrential rainfall, certain actions were taken. Mr. Speaker, the minister did not spell out those specifics. It is the reason why I argued that he had veered off into the area of politics. And Mr. Speaker, this is a house of records. We are aware of a presidential committee headed by the Deputy Chief of Staff. They were asked to do a particular job regarding the flood. There is no report. So if the minister mounts the dispatch box and tells the nation that certain actions were taken, at the time he himself was telling the country that people should stay at home, their homes were already flooded. So which way were they supposed to stay? If you say you put in place certain measures, your duty is supposed to tell us what exactly you did. But you cannot make it a passing comment, then turn around to blame the citizenry by saying that people should take responsibility. Individuals were not responsible. That is why I want this to be out of the records, because, Mr. Speaker, it's a serious statement indicting people already suffering, who are going through crisis, who have lost their property, who have lost lives. Then all we hear from the minister is that people are not being responsible. Mr. Speaker, that is the point I want to make and want the clarity on. It's the reason why I said the minister should have come with a formal statement. Right, he's telling me that he has sent me a copy. Where you have sent it to my chief whip. But if you knew you had a formal statement, why didn't you wait to get the statement properly read? Now you're saying that your statement is ready. Yet you spoke extempo and raised certain issues, and I've taken down note. That is why I want Mr. Speaker to take note. But Mr. Speaker, outside we have a formal statement. We sent it to you for approval, which has been approved. We will go strictly by that. But let the records reflect that the minister at the dispatch box is now doing blame game. He's also saying that the government took steps. Which steps we don't know. Which steps we don't know.
Yes, Minority Leader, with all this respect, let's get things right. If the minister says certain actions were taken, but he failed to mention those actions. Which of the rules does that violate? For which reason, I will ask the minister to withdraw.
Speaker, with respect, thank you very much for that important question. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of records. The old maxim, et nihilus, et nihilus. You can't place something on nothing. Mr. Speaker, the minister must anchor every submission before this house on facts. If you say you did something, you took a ministerial action, and that ministerial action, nobody knows about it, it becomes empty. It sits on stilts to make such submission. And that is the contention here. So, Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow a minister to make a statement which statement is not supported by any fact. We don't know anything. Mr. Speaker, let us read the rules. 91(2), Mr. Speaker, a minister of state may make a statement of government policy, and the statement shall be limited to facts which are necessary to be made known to the House. Mr. Speaker, my argument, the prayer before you is that the facts upon which he makes his submission are unknown. He didn't state those facts. If indeed the government are taking certain actions, what are those actions? Did you brief the House? Did you tell the public that there will be torrential rainfall in June? You've been warned by Accra Metro. Therefore, take the following steps. Did you do the dredging? What happened to the report of the Deputy Chief of Staff who was put in charge of this? So you cannot just make a sweeping statement and expect that this house will be quiet. What were the facts upon which you mounted your the government policy on? If you say there was a policy, which policy you followed religiously? Why are we in crisis? And then now you are blaming the citizens who are suffering, the people who are crying, who are wailing. You are now here in Parliament blaming them. What have they done? You have been given a state authority. You have the power of the state to enforce laws. You have the power of the state to enforce laws. Don't do in blame game. We don't want lamentations, Honorable Minister, with respect. We don't need lamentations. People are suffering. You were in opposition. You cried louder. You cried aloud. You wanted people to take action. Now it's your turn. Take action. Take action. No blame game, Minister. No blame game.
Minority Leader, I think you had your turn. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Minority Leader is speaking as if he didn't leave office just about 15 months ago. And he's speaking as if 2 years ago there was no flooding in this country. As if 3 years ago there was no flooding in this country. As if 4 years ago there was no flooding in this country. I recall sitting on that side of the house, and every year we made statements on flooding in this country. So why are you behaving as if this is the first time that Accra is getting flooded? Why are you behaving that way? Please, stop the drama. The minister came under Order 93. Order 93. To make a statement on an urgent public matter. An urgent public matter. And he went straight to the facts. He indicated that the meteorological department had forecasted heavy downpour of rains, but they did not indicate the likely volume. And that when the rains did come, the volume was so much that even if we had done the best of preparations, we would still have been overwhelmed by the volume of the water. These are facts put forth by the minister. So these are facts. You can't say that the minister did not present any facts. And he then proceeded to indicate the extent of the destruction, mentioning specific communities, mentioning specific numbers, details
How many people died in which community? How many properties were lost? Households. And then concluded by indicating that as a result of the emergency, he has appeared before the Finance Committee with the Finance Minister to seek financial approval from the contingency fund so that urgent steps can be taken to address the plight of those who have suffered as a result of this catastrophe, and indicated the amount, 350 million Ghana cedis, and said that 250 million Ghana cedis is going to be devoted to supporting those who have suffered, whilst the 100 million will be used to ameliorate the situation that has caused the flooding, which is desilting and other actions. 150 million. These are facts. And this committee met this morning, the Finance Committee met this morning, and I have a statement of the Finance Committee which they will be presenting to this House. These are facts. They occurred in this House. How can you say that the Minister did not present any facts based on which he anchored his statement? In the concluding part, he indicated that floods are an act of God. They come. The rains come. We can never predict the volume of the rains. We have been living in Accra, and for the first time, some of us saw it rain from morning till evening for about 2 days. So these are facts. Now it is for this House to debate, to comment on it, sympathize with the families, but you cannot try to create the impression that the minister, all he got up and said was he is blaming individuals. In this chamber, all of us have blamed individuals. In this chamber, all of us, we have blamed individuals who have built on the waterways. We have blamed individuals who have built on the waterways and blocked the waters. We have in this chamber, go and pick the hands out. Every single one of you here. We have on radio, go and listen to the radio stations. People are blaming those who have built on waterways, and they are asking government to pull down those properties. The owners of the property are also blaming government for coming to pull down their properties. So please.
Honorable Leader, conclude. In fact, at this point, the issue at stake is whether to take the statement jointly. Then we open the floor for comment, or we comment on this statement and thereafter. So,
Speaker, we take them jointly, and then we agree on the number of contributors. Speaker, we'll do 5-5 plus leadership.
Very well. I will then give the floor to Honorable Asenso Boachi.
Just to let you know,
yes,
that the electronic copy of the statement made by the minister has been forwarded to clerk at table. I believe, yes. When I got up to ask for speaker's leave, I said there was a statement coming, but it wasn't ready yet. So he should allow the minister to make the statement because we had gotten to statement time.
Honourable members, once we cross that particular bridge, let us not visit it. I will then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Asenso Boachi. You have the floor to make your statement.
We haven't agreed on the number that will contribute.
Very well. They said 5-5 including leadership.
No,
we have a contrary number.
10-10. 5-5 is too small. 10-10. Let's do 10-10, not 5-5. Why? Not 5-5. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to make a statement on the devastating flooding that has once again affected our beautiful city of Accra and other parts of the country following the recent heavy rains. At the outset, I extend my deepest sympathies to all families who have lost loved ones and to everyone whose homes, businesses, and livelihoods have been affected. Mr. Speaker, yesterday was a heartbreaking moment for our nation. I was deeply shaken after watching disturbing videos circulating on social media of helpless citizens
being swept away by floodwaters. Kiosks torn apart with people trapped inside, while onlookers stood powerless, unable to save lives right before their eyes. Those scenes were painful, Mr. Speaker, haunting, and a stark reminder of a crisis we can no longer normalize. Mr. Speaker, flooding has become one of Ghana's most persistent national challenges. It has confronted successive governments, continues to threaten lives, infrastructure, and economic activity. This is therefore not a time for political point scoring. Floodwaters do not discriminate. They affect all Ghanaians alike. We must therefore unite around practical and lasting solutions. Mr. Speaker, the causes of flooding are well known: inadequate drainage infrastructure, weak enforcement of planning laws, and poor waste management, rapid urbanization, and the growing impacts of climate change. Recognizing these challenges, Mr. Speaker, the Akufo-Addo administration undertook the largest direct government investment in flood control in Ghana's history, committing about 540 million in investment and commitment under the National Flood Control Program from 2018 to 2024 for drainage construction, rehabilitation, and desilting nationwide. The previous administration also secured $200 million and additional $150 million later from the World Bank for the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project, otherwise known as the Garrett Project. Before leaving office, Mr. Speaker, major works, including the Odog dredging, Achimota Abufu Drain, South Kaneshi Drain, and the Buzia Highway were underway. The Accra Flood Early Warning System had been operationalized, while procurement and designs for key interventions, including the Atomic East and West detention ponds, had reached advanced stages. Mr. Speaker, it is regrettable that reports suggest several of these critical projects have slowed down or stalled. These are strategic flood protection projects, not ordinary infrastructure. I therefore urge government to provide this House with a comprehensive update on the status and ensure their timely completion. Mr. Speaker, flood control also requires continuous investment, maintenance, and expansion of drainage systems. Equally important is the strict enforcement of planning regulations. Illegal developments in waterways, wetlands, and floodplains continue to obstruct natural drain paths and worsen flooding. Our laws are adequate. Enforcement remains the challenge, Mr. Speaker. Poor sanitation is another major challenge. Choked drains significantly reduce drainage capacity during heavy rains, while the cancellation of major waste collection contracts may not be the sole cause of the recent flooding. Concerns have been raised about the adequacy of transition arrangements, of the lack of alternative plans. Government must ensure that any policy change affecting sanitation do not compromise effective waste management. The Speaker, climate change is making extreme rainfall more frequent across the world. Ghana must therefore invest in climate-resilient drainage infrastructure capable of withstanding increasingly intense storms. With more heavy rains forecast, I respectfully call on government to declare a one-week national flood emergency preparedness exercise to enable metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, NADMO, and the Hydrological Services Authority, the security agencies, and other important stakeholders to intensify the silting, clear block drains, remove obstructions from waterways, pre-position emergency teams, and strengthen public education. Mr. Speaker, flooding should never become an accepted feature of our rainy season. We know the causes and we know the solutions. What remains is the political will to sustain investment, enforce our planning laws, strengthen sanitation management, and promote responsible citizenship. If government, local authorities, communities, and citizens all play their respective roles, we can significantly reduce the devastating human economic costs of flooding and build safer and more resilient communities for our children in the future. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, but let me draw your attention and the attention of the leadership and the House to Order 93, 2 and 3. It states, the proposed statement shall be admitted by the Speaker with or without modification. 3, the text of the statement as admitted shall be read when a member is called upon to make the statement. This is the second time I'll be admitting statement with modification. Yet, in taking the statement, you take it without reference to the modification made by the Speaker. It has consequence on subsequent admission of your statement. And I think I'll have to bring the attention of the House to this. I duly discussed this statement at conclave and drew the attention of the leadership to the fact that I am admitting it with modification. Thank you. Yes, the next statement is standing in the name of the Chairman for Sanitation and Water Resources. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make this statement on the recent flooding that affected part of Accra and other communities following the heavy rains experienced over the past days. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources notes with grave concern the devastating impact of floods, which disrupted economic activities, damaged property, displaced residents, and placed many lives at risk. Several major roads and communities, including sections of the N1 Highway, the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, the Accra-Kasua Corridor, the Weja Malam, and part of the Tema Motorway experienced severe flooding, while similar incidents occurred in several other low-lying communities. Mr. Speaker, while we sympathize with all those affected, we must also acknowledge that the persistent flooding in our cities is largely the result of preventable human activities. Poor sanitation, indiscriminate disposal of refuse, choked drains, encroachments on waterways, weak enforcement of planning regulations, inadequate maintenance of drainage infrastructure, and the growing effect of climate change continue to worsen the situation. Mr. Speaker, over the years, Parliament has approved substantial public resources for flood mitigation, including major drainage projects such as the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development, that is GARID. I therefore call for a comprehensive review of the $200 million initial funding from the World Bank in 2019 and the 150 additional financing in 2024 that was approved by this House and for the Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government to resolve flooding problem in Accra. Mr. Speaker, we have, as part of our oversight responsibilities, visited 7 regions and have consistently observed a deterioration in environmental and sanitation outlook in many metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, i.e. choked drains, indiscriminate dumping of refuse, and weak enforcement of sanitation bylaws have become the order of the day. This confirms that the flooding challenge is not only an infrastructure issue, but also a sanitation and governance challenge. Mr. Speaker, the committee is equally concerned about the shortage of environmental health officers across the country. Thousands of qualified environmental health graduates remain unemployed, while many assemblies lack the personnel required to monitor sanitation conditions and enforce environmental health regulations. Government should therefore recruit and employ more environmental health officers to strengthen sanitation and enforcement and public education nationwide. Mr. Speaker, the committee recommends that government restores a dedicated ministry for sanitation and water resources to provide focused policy direction and leadership in addressing the country's sanitation and water challenges. In addition, we propose the establishment of a national sanitation authority to coordinate the sanitation policy, regulation, and monitoring and enforcement across the country. Such an authority would strengthen institutional coordination and improve accountability and ensure the effective implementation of national sanitation policies. Mr. Speaker, addressing flooding requires a collective national effort. Government, metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, traditional authorities, the private sector, and the general public all have important roles to play. Citizens must desist from dumping refuse into drains and waterways, while the relevant institutions must enforce the law without fear or favor. Mr. Speaker, the committee commends the National Disaster Management Authority, the National Fire Service, the security agencies, the National Ambulance Service, the assemblies, and all volunteers for their prompt response to the emergency and their support to effective communities. Mr. Speaker, the time has come for Ghana to move from reacting to floods after they occur to preventing them through improved sanitation management and effective drainage maintenance, stronger institutions, sustained public education. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Sanitation and Water Resources remain committed to working with all stakeholders to ensure a cleaner communities and protected waterways and more resilient nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. As we move. Thank you.
Honourable members, these are the statements on the issue under reference. I won't say Accra flooding. It has gone beyond Accra. So, flood situation in Ghana. The rule is clear that comment on the statement is not exceeding 5 minutes. I will not be the timekeeper. The timekeepers are out there. Honourable members, I want to plead with the House that in view of the business for today, we take 5-5 with the leadership as suggested.
Speaker, with respect to you, we are related to our counterpart, the Honourable Chief Whip. We are not doing 5. This is a crisis. This is a matter that concerns the lives of the people of this country. Many lives have been lost. Speaker, No. But why? Speaker, my colleagues should be patient and listen to me. Besides, can I conclude?
Minority
Speaker, can I
Chief
conclude?
Whip.
Can I conclude?
With all due respect, it's out of courtesy that we ask that leadership should guide us. In the absence of any agreement, we have right as speakers to indicate to the House the number of the speakers on the item.
Speaker, that is not in doubt. Speaker, but you prefix your statement that there's light business. Yes, indeed, there is light business. The major business we have today is the bill, the maritime bill, and the second reading. We will take it. Second reading, we'll take it. Then later in the day, we'll go and take the consideration. Speaker, this is a major business. I'm not
indicated to you at the conclave that some motions would have also been taken.
Speaker, it's basically
and some
laying on
papers would have to be presented. So please, please, if 5 at each side, plus leadership making 6, 12 people commenting on this statement, how do you say this is not enough?
Speaker, with respect, Order 93 yes, 93.4 says it should be the statement will be commented upon and not exceed an hour. Speaker, a while ago you have said that we are masters of our own rules. You have another statement. Nobody is aware of that. The Speaker has not admitted any statement. The only statement that we know, that's why we had conclave, is this 2 statements concerning the floods. Why are you running away from comment? Why? This is a major, it's a disaster, and we must speak. We must pour out our hearts. And you are running away. Why are you running away? Oh, Speaker, the 5 is too limited. It's too small. It can't be limited to 5. In fact, we had 15 of our members ready to comment, and we decided to scale it down to 8. And Speaker, if it is your decision, Speaker, if I may conclude.
Yes.
So you're a fan of interrupting your friend. If I may conclude, 5, let's up it a bit to 6, at least 6, and then leadership will conclude.
Honorable Whip, what I'm saying is that 5 here, with leaders making 6.
Speaker, I'm not sure your call will find favor with the people of this country.
Well, the people of this country will be happy.
The people of Agogloshi will not be happy with you.
They will be happy,
people will not be happy with you.
When we get to the other business to be taken.
Speaker, they will not be happy with you. Choco people will not be happy with you. Their homes are flooded. They will not be happy with you. Akachi, Central Region. The deputy leader just returned. Has recorded about 4 deaths. Western region will not be happy with you. Central region will not be happy with you.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, I take a great exception of you inciting Ghanaians against me. I take a great exception to that.
Speaker, I will not incite Ghanaians against you.
I'm telling you, I take a great exception to that.
Oh, Speaker, I'm sorry if that
Kindly
is how
resume your seat.
Speaker,
please,
I'm sorry.
Please resume your seat. Honourable members, before yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at conclave, we did agree that the flooding is such a serious matter, and our voices as members of Parliament must be heard on the matter. We did agree on that, and that is why we admitted 3 statements on the matter this morning. The Interior Minister and then the 2 honorable colleagues who have made a statement. In fact, there's a 3rd statement. There's a 4th statement, and that is a statement by the chairman of the Finance Committee to report to this House the approval of a sum of 350 million Ghana cedis to deal with the consequences of the flood. So that's the fourth statement. So I was going to plead with you that instead of us commencing commentary on the statements, let's allow the chairman of the Finance Committee to read that statement, which is just a one-page statement. The committee met this morning, they deliberated on the matter, and I thought that they should report to this House so that we can take that on board in our
Majority Leader, that will come under a different constitutional imperative. So we cannot make it part of this. I think that will be for the purposes of information to the House. I think Article 177 is clear on the issue. So that one is a statement for the purposes of informing the House. It's not a statement to be commented upon. Yes?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, but the idea is that when members are commenting on the statement, they will be informed by this development, which is a very significant development, that this Parliament took urgent steps to approve the release of funds to deal with the plight of our constituents.
Honorable Majority Leader, it's been placed on record, but to allow that statement to be made and then comments taken on it would have been in contravention with Article 177. That is why I'm unable to do so. So I plead with you, the figure and what the Finance Committee has done, it may end up at the Finance Committee level based on the constitutional imperative. However, if you want to inform the House about it, I have no difficulty.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you are talking about Article 177.
Yes.
Article 177 says, there shall be paid into the contingency fund monies voted for the purpose by Parliament, and advances may be made from that fund which are authorized by the committee responsible for financial measures in Parliament whenever that committee is satisfied that there has arisen an urgent or unforeseen need for expenditure for which no other provision exists to meet the need. Where an advance is made from the contingency fund, a supplementary estimate shall be presented as soon as possible to Parliament for the purpose of replacing the amount so advanced. So we agree that there's no requirement of approval by this Parliament. But then my position, which I advocated to the chairman of the committee, is that being a committee of this House, whenever you engage in deliberations, whatever the nature of the deliberations, you ought to report to the House. We're not asking to come for approval, but at least you should report your activities to the House pursuant to Order 215, which relates to reports of committees. So 215 says, the deliberations and recommendations of a committee shall be presented to the House in the form of a report. So we discussed it, and then there was some advice that because there's no requirement of prior approval and etc., a report may not be necessary. So we concluded that for the purposes of informing the House, maybe we should go via a statement, so that if it is a statement, then it doesn't constitute a report of a committee. So that's how come I advised the chairperson of the committee to write a brief statement, and subject to your indulgence, we can have
the chairman make a statement to the effect that 350 million Ghana cedis has been approved by the Finance Committee to be withdrawn from the contingency fund to deal with the plight of those who have been affected by the disaster, so that this statement and this information can be taken on board by members as they comment on the three statements. But Mr. Speaker, if you think that a statement is not necessary, we can proceed to comment on the statements that have been made by our colleagues.
Very well.
Speaker.
Minority Chief Whip, I have given a clear direction on this issue. Do you have a contrary view from what I've said?
Your direction is sacrosanct, and I want to go by your direction.
Very well.
Except to add, we as representatives of the people, we are here because of the power, the thumb of the people. Speaker, the minister gave us some strange statistics. 7,760 plus household displaced.
Minority Chief Whip, with all due respect, when you have your turn to comment, you may do so.
I want to make this point.
I plead with you. Honorable Minority Chief Whip, I plead with you.
I plead with
you have your turn to comment on the statement.
We cannot be here.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Lives have been lost.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Lives have been lost. Houses have been
Honorable
displaced.
Minority Chief Whip, take guidance. Honorable Anodom take guidance. Please, you are out of order.
Yes, but I have to make my point.
You are out of order.
House have been displaced.
You are out of order.
Have been
Please resume your seat.
People have died.
Please resume your seat.
Why?
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, please. Honourable members, indulge me to acknowledge the presence of our revered visitors in our midst. We have 31st December Movement School Civil Education Club, led by Portia Akpene Ajankra, Municipal Director, NCCE. They are from Ayawaso East. They numbered 55. We also have Life Education Complex, led by Patrick Goba, head teacher. They are from Bia East. They numbered 65. Then we have Kanda International School, led by Mr. Gonga, a teacher. They are also from Ayawaso East. They numbered 65.
Responsible for sanitation in our country. The Honorable Francis Asanso-Boakye, Mr. Speaker, made allusions to some very important interventions which were in place prior to the assumption of office of this government, and which intervention seems to have been truncated. So, Mr. Speaker, the point I make is that we can go on and on about citizens being responsible. All of those are well and good. Building in waterways, all of those are accepted. But, Mr. Speaker, if we are going to call a spade, it is clear that there is a need for government to streamline coordination as to which governmental authority is responsible for sanitation, responsible for works, responsible for desilting, and responsible for putting in place, Mr. Speaker, pre-flooding mitigation measures. Mr. Speaker, a lot of interventions seems to be rolled out now. 350 million, 150 million to work on flood mitigation. The fundamental question, Mr. Speaker, that I believe many citizens across Accra and across many parts of our country where this flooding is taking place is, what prevented us from putting these measures in place when we knew that the rainy season will happen June, July, August? What prevented us? Why must we wait, Mr. Speaker, for flooding to occur, for 12 people to die, for citizens to lose their properties, for businesses to collapse, for areas upon areas to be devastated, and for citizens to suffer, only for us to now say that we are releasing 150 million Ghana cedis for flood mitigation. Mr. Speaker, my little street understanding of mitigation and prevention is that you take the measures before the event occurs. And Mr. Speaker, we all know in this country that Accra, every June and July, Accra is subject to flood-related devastations. So what stopped us from putting these measures in place? And why should, Mr. Speaker, and I conclude on that, why should ministers who have been appointed and given responsibility to offer coordination and oversight on government departments and agencies responsible for flooding and desilting now come to tell us after the flooding has occurred and after a lot of devastation has happened that assemblies are not working, assemblies are not spending the money? Mr. Speaker, I want to submit here, we commensurate to the people, but enough of the talking. Let's have some action and let's get to work, because a lot is happening which I believe affects coordination. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I will proceed to give the floor to Honourable Vincent Opon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statement ably made by our two honourable members of Parliament. Honourable Speaker, I think this is a time for sober reflection. This is not a time for noise making. We have lost some citizens. I saw some pictures this morning of some kids we have lost as a result of this flooding. And as a political class, we should all be ashamed of what is happening. And I wasn't expecting the noise that we have heard this morning. We should be ashamed. We have to sympathize with the dead, the families of the dead. Let's sympathize with them. We don't have to be making noise. I don't think the noise will solve any problem. We need to find a solution. 2019, we all know that we approved money in this house to solve flooding issues. Let me ask you, how was the money used? How was it utilized? The money we still have some money in our account, but implementation challenges. We were asked to build detention ponds. What are the detention ponds? Where are the detention ponds? We were unable to even build detention ponds for 5 years. We couldn't do it. Mr. Speaker, where is the money? Where is the money? Some of our contributors were ministers of state. And we supervised this for how many years? We couldn't find solution to this. And just 1.5 years out of office, you are here making so much noise about what has occurred. It is happening in Benin. It is happening in Nigeria. All the West Coast, we are all into it. Please, let's find solutions to this canker. Because every year we comment on these issues and then we go to sleep. And after rains, it recurs. For going forward, I am appealing to our government to at least allow about 20% of the common fund money, the directives that were given for the usage for Greater Accra and other parts of the country where the flooding situation has become problematic. At least 20% of that, let them invest in drain construction. And going forward, 2017, please, I'm appealing to government to prioritize these flood control measures by building most of these storm drains, like we did for how do we call the roads, a big push. Let's prioritize drains construction in Greater Accra, please. I think this is very, very important. Previously, we had approved money for sanitation issues, but we go around there. What are the situations now? In 2019 or 2020, the previous administration under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo went to Odo that they were going to do ecological restoration. Where is it? No, the money is still sitting there. Garrett has failed. We all know that Garrett failed because of some personal interest, political issues. And I urge the current, our president and our current administration to review the contract. Where it demands termination of contract, let's terminate it and re-award it. So that next year we'll not be here talking about the same thing. Because when there's flooding, apart from the destruction that it causes here, it affects road projects as well. All the investment that we have made in big projects, if we don't construct the storm drains, it is going to affect the roads. So I only urge our government, because right now, the solution, we have to find solutions. The lamentation should be over. We don't have to lament any longer, because NPP, they will
Remember, your time is up. I then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Nana Asafo-Adjei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to first and foremost express my condolence, heartfelt, to the families who have lost their lives and properties. Mr. Speaker, that being said, I am surprised to hear that my honorable colleague who just spoke is saying that we are making noise. Because I don't know whether the families that have lost their, lives, or Ghanaians that have lost their properties, or Ghanaians that are crying for help, I don't know who is making the noise. Because this is a very important, critical, key matter. So, Mr. Speaker, if we are trying to register our concerns and also contribute and sympathize with families, and our colleagues are saying we are making noise, Mr. Speaker, it is something that Ghanaians will judge for themselves. Mr. Speaker, I want to take you to the 2025 financial budget. Speaker, paragraph 589. The finance minister, the Speaker, admitted that between 2020, 2023, and 2024, the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government, the Speaker, drained and dredged 1,000 kilometers of drains. The Speaker, he also mentioned works that have been done. When you go to paragraph 599, the Speaker, that's the document I have here. And if you want, I will read. The Speaker, paragraph 589, 1,000 kilometers of drainage works were done or was done by the NPP government. Mr. Speaker, when you go to the 2026 budget, paragraph 527, 15 months in government, only 40 kilometers have been done. 40 kilometers. Mr. Speaker, it tells you the commitment of the government that made this flooding a major issue before coming to government. Mr. Speaker, the 2024 flood that happened, even though it was minimal, even though it was, it was not compared to what we are seeing today. Mr. Speaker, he blamed government failure. He blamed engineering problem. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, when he assumed the office, now shift from the engineering problem and now blame attitudinal. Mr. Speaker, committee was formed to give solutions to this flooding. The committee only flew helicopter and came back, and then the flood got worse. And in addressing the flood, we find the president flying helicopter again when he knew the problems that were confronting Ghana before assuming office. Mr. Speaker, commitment, political commitment here must be prioritized, and that is important. We cannot, Majority Leader mentioned that every year we come here to talk about flooding. Yes, it is true, but we have not demonstrated any commitment, none. And it has been partisan, politicized each year and each year. And we make huge political capitals. When we come, we renege on the work. Mr. Speaker, you made huge political capital from this work, but you came and reneged. Mr. Speaker, I heard the president yesterday mentioning and instructing the finance minister to allocate 300 million for the flood issues. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. 350 million. Mr. Speaker, I am concerned. You see, I am concerned because when the Akosomo and the Tong water or flooding issues happened, Mr. Speaker, the 2025 budget made allocation for them and it didn't go. The 2026 added another allocation, it didn't go. When the cocoa issue came, the president again directed the Minister of Finance to make allocation for cocoa farmers. From November last year to this year, July this year, the money hasn't gone. So I am very concerned about another directive that has been made. Whether that one is also going to be another political cliche. We must demonstrate and show action, not just talk, not just the gimmicks. Mr. Speaker, it is important that we stop the gimmickry, we stop the settings, we stop the scam and deal with the issues well. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I want to urge that we be sincere to the Ghanaian people in dealing with this flood matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful.
I will then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Phyllis Ofosu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing a very serious problem. Tens of thousands of our compatriots find themselves in a dire situation. They are displaced. In other words, their regular place of abode have been taken away from them through natural causes. Over 7,000 households find themselves in distress. 12 people have been confirmed to have lost their lives, and 7 people remain missing as we speak. So, Mr. Speaker, just like the Ecclesia says in the Bible, we must understand that there is time for everything. This is not the time for misguided politicking and vacuous political rhetoric intended to achieve political ends, short-term sectarian ends. It is the reason why I'm surprised about some of the claims being made by our colleagues on the other side. For some reason, we are told that there is some lack of coordination. Mr. Speaker, it is a contrived position. The committee set up by the president to coordinate efforts to tackle flooding has not in any way resulted in a lack of coordination. There is nothing wrong with putting together a team to help address an existing problem. As they themselves will be clearly aware, this is a multi-sectorial issue, and therefore there are multiple agencies at play. So coordination led by a deputy chief of staff is in order. No evidence exists of this lack of coordination. It must be placed on record. So at the time when our compatriots are suffering, we do not expect such untrue claims to be made. Mr. Speaker, it has also been claimed that this government has waited for flooding before releasing money for relief. Mr. Speaker, who releases money for relief in advance of the occurrence of the problem? You can only relieve people who are in distress. Yesterday, when I issued a statement, or this morning when I issued a statement on behalf of His Excellency the President, I stated clearly that parts of the money will go towards providing relief for the 38,000 people who are displaced. That could not have been known last week or the week before. Again, another 150 million Ghana cedis is programmed to help address problems brought on by the flooding, which can lead to more flooding. So there's nothing wrong with mitigating the impact of further rainfall. And Mr. Speaker, we are not talking about normal rainfall. We are talking about 170 millimeters of rain in a space of 13 hours. Mr. Speaker, the whole of last year, June, only 56 millimeters of rainfall was recorded. The whole month of June last year. This year, in just 13 hours, 2 days ago, 170 millimeters of rain fell. It is an extraordinary situation that could not have been foreseen, and is the reason why the impact appears to be bigger. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues are also rankled that in the past they were held responsible for flooding. If you stay in power for 8 years, you have no excuse than to take responsibility for flooding, a problem that you should have solved within that period. They claim that they committed hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis to addressing it. Mr. Speaker, what was the outcome of that expenditure? How do you spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis on resolving a problem only for it to get worse? It means that the money was either not properly utilized or the wrong approach was adopted. So every Ghanaian citizen has the right to carpet you and criticize you for failure after 8 years. Nobody is going to give you a bouquet of flowers. We won't pour gold, frankincense, or myrrh on you for failing within 8 years to address the problem. But President Mahama has agreed that it is his responsibility as president to address this problem, and therefore he is going to take steps, very drastic steps, to address it. We just need to give him our support and a bit of time to address the issue comprehensively, as he intends to do. That really is the tone that we should be adopting in this discussion, and not the usual grandstanding that we engage in. Nobody expects that a decades-old problem will be addressed within 1.5 years. It is not a reasonable expectation to have in light of the resources required.
I think your time is up. Your time is up. It's now the turn of Sami Auku. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let me begin by also commending the makers of the various statements, particularly that of the Honorable Asensi Boache, who has institutional memory about some of the issues that was particularly discussed during his tenure. And my wonderful friend and chairman, Oti Bless. Mr. Speaker, let's be clear on one thing, that under the previous Mahama government, of which my good friend and brother Felix Kwachiofosu was part, on a single night in June 2015, we lost over 150 lives. Single night. Then the Ghanaian people asked them to retire in 2016. They spent 8 years studying what the Akufo-Addo government was initiating and implementing gradually. Mr. Speaker, again, they inherited a country where, in fact, President Mahama is one of the luckiest presidents in the world. Your predecessor left a roadmap, completely had gone through a comprehensive review of Accra flooding situation. The Honorable Asensi Boache, in his statement, clearly enumerated the number of projects initiated under the Akufo-Addo administration. Today, the NDC that took pride, solace, and comfort in politicizing every flood situation in Ghana from 2017 to 2024 is today playing the role of John Paul II, our Pope, late, and behaving as if Ghana only started in 2017. Mr. Speaker, behind the statistics we see on TV are human lives being lost. People have lost their livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, somebody might have gone for a 2,000 CD loan. Today, that money is gone. I have seen a wonderful video of my good friend Felix Kwachiofosu during the floods with his staff when they were cheering you on in your jersey, Ghana jersey. People were dying around that time, my brother. Again, Mr. Speaker, when the rain started, I can pardon Felix. I can pardon Felix when he's coming from a background of not knowing how this whole rain started. Mr. Speaker, he was in the US maybe when the rain started. But people have lost their livelihoods. Press conferences won't desilt our gutters. Press conferences won't solve the problems of our poor drainage system. In fact, as Asensu stated, the Honorable Asensu Boachi stated, where the NDC used to have their headquarters, before God being so good, they were able to move to a plush area around Adabraka. The Nima Paloma Odona drains. It was under the NPP that we clearly initiated and fixed that issue. We started that of the Buzia N1 highway, the drainage system. South Kaneshi started under the NPP. We, in fact, under the Garrett project, we had secured funding and started the project. From January 2025 up to date, all we've been hearing, press conferences, committees. And today I'm surprised to see the Minister for Interior here. Because in the government's anti-flood task force, the Minister for Interior is not even part. So who is even managing the flood situation in our country? You put a deputy chief of staff with no compelling controlling role and mandate to coordinate two ministers, that of local government and that of works and housing, a deputy chief of staff. The Minister for Interior, in the midst of the crisis, appeared before Parliament and speaking on behalf of a task force that is not even part. Mr. Speaker, I clearly believe that this is the time that we need leadership. Leadership is not a team sport. When you are elected to lead, you lead. This is not the time for settings, PR, bloggers, patrolling left, right, and center because government wants to score political points. We need answers. And we don't need a government that will pretend to be solving a problem, but then just using chopper to mock our misery. And lastly, we don't elect leaders to tell us our problems. We elect leaders to fix our problems. If President Mahama is tired, he can leave the position for somebody who is also ready to lead us to that promised land. Thank you very much.
I proceed to give the floor to Honorable Zaneto Ajiman Rollins.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statements made by honourable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, since I came into Parliament in 2017, this is an issue that I have reiterated on many occasions, including mentioning the reasons why we have the flooding. I think there's no doubt in anybody's mind that this incident from yesterday was a black swan event that occurred in the entire sub-region. And it certainly should guide the engineering strategy that will look at this solution for the flooding in Accra and perhaps in the rest of the country. On our probability matrix, what happened yesterday would have been considered once upon a time a low probability and a high impact event. But given the impact of climate change, it would appear that we have to put this on the high probability, high impact, which means that that is where a lot of our resources must be focused. Mr. Speaker, I would like to extend my condolences to the bereaved families, but also to commend the service staff from the security service staff from the Ghana Police Service, especially the Marine Police, the Ghana National Fire Service, the 48 engineers, the Ghana Navy, NADMO, and of course, the Osu fishermen who came over with their canoes from the Osu side to the Adabraka side to help in the rescue efforts. We did lose some persons in the constituency, unfortunately, and as the minister did mention, thousands have been displaced from their homes. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the fire in the Odona market raged on for almost 24 hours because the fire service could not access the location where the fire occurred. As a result of that, many people after the fact of having been displaced from their homes, have lost their livelihoods, many who will end up in debt. So we are grateful for the government's efforts in trying to mitigate the impact of such devastating loss to the lives of these persons. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, there is, under the NADMO Act, supposed to be the National Disaster Management Fund, which is supposed to do, amongst other things, help in providing the various agencies with the disaster risk management, as well as climate resilience, and being able to anticipate some of what we expect to come with regards to what is going on globally with climate change. Mr. Speaker, this disaster fund must be operational in order to support such things. We could not control the amount of rainfall that we had, but going into the future, given what we have seen, the extent of the damage can be, the engineering has to take that into consideration. And just in response to the fact that a couple of colleagues have spoken to the issue of the Garrett Fund, I would like to mention that a few years ago, when our colleague, the Honorable Asenso, was the minister, he did come to Odorna and he addressed the Odorna garages, the members of the garages, and he did assure that a certain amount of work was going to be done. Unfortunately, a few days afterwards, he mentioned before Parliament that the money had been reassigned to COVID. Mr. Speaker, I think that at this point, if it would be to your pleasure, that the NADMO be asked to come before either the Defense and Interior Committee or before the House to actually give a full account of what happened yesterday, a detailed account of what their challenges are, what they anticipate would be required in such an event happening again, given that we're expecting more rainfall, and what it is that Parliament can do in terms of supporting the efforts of allocating resources to the fund. Mr. Speaker, what happened yesterday was an absolute disaster, which we hope will not occur again. And we hope that as we bring all our resources together, given the expediency that the Finance Committee has shown, that the relevant resources will be given to the security agencies that are required to actually help in the building, the restoration of some of these areas. If only to mention that the enforcement of our laws must be taken as a very important.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Dr. Ayu Afriye.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to associate myself with the statement that has been commented on. Mr. Speaker, I think that the germane issues have been tackled, especially so from the minority. The solid argument or presentation from Asenso, a very solid one from the Bosome MP, and that of my hometown MP, Samia Uku. Mr. Speaker, I would want to come from a little aspects, which is what has happened, the way forward, and then the health issues. Mr. Speaker, is a country that has no Minister of Environment. And in a previous government, there was a Ministry for Sanitation and Water Resources. Mr. Speaker, currently, I don't know where sanitation issues sit, whether it is with the Community Water Sanitation Agency, or it is with local government, or it is with environment. Mr. Speaker, as of now, it's an environmental issue. It is multi-sectorial, I understand, but the point of health is where I'm coming from with my contribution. Mr. Speaker, flooding and its attendant effects. I wish the Minister of Health was here to also brief us. And that is where some of us are worried about the coordination of your team. It appears so disjointed. And this is an emergency situation. All such persons should have been here. The Minister of Environment is here, but that position appeared to be still vacant. You need Minister of Local Government to brief us, Interior to brief us, and Health. The outbreak of cholera, malaria, typhoid, the temporary displacement of people and the consequences in terms of respiratory diseases. Mr. Speaker, are we going to wait for the next week and then we come here for another budget, contingency, to take care of them? We need to be briefed. The people of Ghana have to be briefed. It appears we are not prepared. It appears for all this while, this approach again is a knee-jerk one. I don't want to be sound to be blaming anybody because this is one catastrophe that comes on annual basis. Since I graduated from sixth form, I saw a heavy one in 1995. Mr. Speaker, probably this will be the heaviest after about 30 years. What next? I'm not going to blame anybody on my position. But I also think that there were some genuine points that were put on the floor. The previous government did something. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Where is the money? Where is all of this? We want to know where we're going. But then also the citizens. The citizens. Mr. Speaker, I will end on a note just to say that all of us, we have a role to play. All of us, we have a role to play. We have a role to play. In as much as we are putting the pressure on government. In as much as we are putting pressure on government. In as much as we are putting pressure on government. It is the responsibility. It is the responsibility on all of us, the citizens, to press forward the municipalities. Money has been given to the municipalities. According to the Minister of Local Government, that is citizen vigilante. We are supposed to put responsible pressure. We are supposed to put responsible pressure on the local government and the municipalities. The Minister of Local Government is saying that monies has been given to the assemblies, but the monies are not being used. If you go to Alajo, Alajo is submerged because of blockage and the inability to take away due to poor sanitation. Where is our money? Yes, citizen vigilante. Let's put responsible pressure on the municipalities and the assemblies. It behoves on all of us. A lot of refuse dams have not been cleared in Alajo. In Alajo, I'm citing Alajo. Alajo has been submerged because refuse dams has not been cleared, Mr. Speaker. At this point in time, the Minister of Local Government has confirmed that monies has been given to assemblies and they have not been used. Where are we going as a country? Where are we going as a country? So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, citizens vigilantism. Citizen vigilantism. Let's put responsible pressure on government. And the assemblies must account for resources given to them. At the tail end, we want the Minister of Health to come and address us.
All members, it's now the turn of Honorable Emmanuel Bajira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me commend the makers of the statement, which we perennially, every year, we talked about this, our issue of flooding in the country. Mr. Speaker, in 2020, when I was the ranking member of Western Housing, an amount of 250 million was sourced for Garage project. This project, Mr. Speaker, was to solve partially the drainage program and problem in Accra. Mr. Speaker, the design from the feasibility studies to procurement and construction were all done in a period of 2 years. And we had a cause as a committee to question the engineers who took so long a time to come up with this design and the construction period. Mr. Speaker, some of us thought that we will not have problem with flood in Accra as a result of the Garrett project. We thought Garrett project was to solve all the problem. Then in 2024, we're told that part of the money was used for COVID, and that additional 150 million was sought or was also committed again as a loan from the World Bank to support. So when you take 65 million for the COVID from the 250, an additional 150 million was taken again for the Garrett project, it tells you that a lot of money and resources have been committed to the Garrett project. Garrett project was supposed to have a water retention pond, was supposed to have a drainage, was supposed to do a lot of things for the Accra metropolis, including dredging and also desilting. Mr. Speaker, from the engineering point, desilting and drainage alone cannot solve our problem. And I want to repeat it. Desilting and dredging alone cannot solve the drainage problem or the flooding problem in this country. What we need to do is to have a holistic approach, engineering approach to this problem. And how do we go about it? I believe Hydrological Services Authority, has a master drainage, comprehensive master drainage program that we are supposed to follow. Allow funds to go into this hydrological services so that we can have this thing as a thing of the past. Every government, irrespective of which government is in power, whether it's NPP or NDC, we all are committed by mouth onto this drainage and flooding problem. Today we've lost close to 7. I'm told 7 lives have been lost as a result of flooding in Accra. Those lives should not have been lost at all, but we've lost them. If Garrett, that we committed so much resources, has been done, I believe that we will not have this problem today. Mr. Speaker, apart from the Garrett program, which is a major intervention program, we have institutional problem. And every year I kept saying that our institutions are not working. If institutions are really working, we will not have people building on waterways. And when you have government institutions coming up to demolish houses, others will also come. Political elites will come and say, why are you demolishing this house? We all know that houses are not supposed to build on waterways. But we have institutions that will give permit. It will give development permit to contractors and to developers to build on waterways. Why are we doing this thing to ourselves? It is not political, it is not politicians that give permit to developers to develop. It is technocrats. Our colleagues, engineers who are working in the various MMDAs, they give out permits. They allow people to build in waterways. Why are we not holding them accountable? Why do we come and judge here and say all kinds of things about ourselves, whilst the people who are doing the thing down there are left on the hook? It should not be left to the politicians to come and debate here. We should hold them accountable. Mr. Speaker, finally, our human behavior. People just dump rubbish, they dump solid waste in our gutters, in our drains. It's an institutional, attitudinal problem which needs to be resolved. When we go on our various community campaigns, let's inform them. This drainage issue, this flooding, is not only in Accra here. Go to the Volta region. The whole of Keta, Aflao, has also been flooded. And people are dying from that. And so, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead that we should ask, maybe we should call Hydrological Service Department or Authority to come and bring their comprehensive, to Parliament for us to approve for them. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honourable members, I will proceed to give the floor to Honourable Martina J. Kosa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me say I extend my sympathies and condolences to the affected Ghanaians. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, earlier this morning, I had the opportunity of visiting some badly affected areas with, God willing, the next President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. And Mr. Speaker, I can report to this House that the effects are devastating. People have been killed. young and old. Mr. Speaker, thousands have been displaced. Mr. Speaker, all of this is happening at a time that we need to place on record that the Akufo-Addo government did a detailed technical study of the flood situation in Accra, and in 2017, solutions were found. Mr. Speaker, this led to an important policy under the Garrett. Mr. Speaker, again, it's important to place on record that since 2017 and the inception of Garrett, there's been no other national flood mitigation policy except Garrett. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, a program that ought to have dealt with the problems that we are going through today appears abandoned. There is a huge gap between words and the actual work being done on the ground. Mr. Speaker, I note an attempt by the Honorable Bejira to mislead this House. And we say for the records, Mr. Speaker, as we speak, there are over 40 projects under Garrett which are still supposed to be running but are stalled. Mr. Speaker, the issue about Garrett not happening is not because there is no money. There is around $200 million still waiting to be spent under the Garrett program so we can add the situation that we are doing. Mr. Speaker, in 2020, under a legitimate consideration, there was a need to apply part of those funds to deal with COVID. Mr. Speaker, all the auditing processes that has gone on after that process has indicated that nothing untoward happened. Yet, in a time like this, you find our colleagues opposite refer to Garrett in a form and shape as though somebody mismanaged them. Mr. Speaker, under the Garrett project, which saw a huge committal of about $350 million, we were supposed to build storm drains in Accra within the Odo River Basin. Mr. Speaker, that is not being done. Let government do it. We were supposed to build water holding ponds. Mr. Speaker, that would have minimized greatly the situation we find ourselves. Let us do them. Mr. Speaker, we need to manage the solid waste component of our situation. Under the Garrett program, there was consideration to deal with that. Let us do it. Mr. Speaker, the Odo River needs dredging. It has about 4 tributaries, which carries the water into the sea. Let us work on them. Mr. Speaker, you cannot leave over 40 projects that are supposed to be happening to deal with floods in Accra and expect different results. I dare say, with the forecasting that is going on by GNet, Mr. Speaker, we could encounter much more serious problems into the month ahead of us. And it's important that government lays out a clear program of mitigating this situation. Today, the Ghanaian lives in fear. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the people who have died, it should be clear to us that the floods are not respecter of persons. The floods do not show distinction between classes of people. It treats us equally. And it's important to take the politics aside and deal with the problem. Under the Akufo-Addo administration, Mr. Speaker, 17 municipalities were identified to be within the Odo River Basin. And along these drains, the buffer areas or zones were a no-go area. Any chief executive under whose office or jurisdiction that anybody put an unauthorized project or facility was dealt with, and this ensured that there was a clear decision to ensure that nobody goes there. Mr. Speaker, if we do not put our hands to the problem and deal with it, there is no way we can solve the problem. About 200 million cedis is still in government chest.
Our members, your time is up. Your time is up.
Mine was very quick.
Honorable member, everybody was respecting
the
the
Speaker
time.
for the opportunity given me.
It's now the turn of Honorable Gisela Tete Agoti.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I join all my colleagues here in expressing my sympathies, my extreme sympathies to all the families who have lost children, wives, mothers. Sometimes we tend to use statistics to refer to the losses, but everybody had a name. Mr. Speaker, successive governments can carry the blame. It does not end with the current government that is on the seat right now. Because there have been programs and projects over the years that the impacts, if they had been successful, will not be where we are today. Mr. Speaker, but I don't want to complain too much because at the end of the day, there's work to be done and we have a problem to solve. No, I'll leave that to you to do. So, Mr. Speaker, what do we have to do? So listen. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Hydrological Authority has a competent engineers to oversee flooding issues. It's actually their mandate. Under the Ministry of Works and Housing, the Ghana Institute of Engineering is also a professional body that is regulated. In addition to that, the Ghana Institute of Architects supports that. Mr. Speaker, we have the professionals in this country to do it. What we need is funding, sustainable funding, and the willpower to be able to do the necessary demolitions that have to be done, take the hard decisions that you have to take as a government, and we are rightly going to do so. Mr. Speaker, we have about six wetlands that have to be restored in Accra alone. 6 of them. 6 of them. And the reason why we have to do is that we have to have spaces where we can hold water. The rivers must be given their room, and the streams must be given their space. And so these wetlands are going to be able to hold the water, which they should have been doing already anyway, from all the water, especially that comes from the Ebri Mountains. Now the speed at which the water comes into the capital city has increased because there's nothing to hold it back. And that is because there's been a lot of encroachment on those areas that were meant to be reserved as wetlands. So those wetlands that have been encroached, for those who have encroached, for those who have sold, please find a way of getting your money back, because the government is going to get them and use them for the right purpose. Mr. Speaker, after that, there also has to be the issue of the lagoons and the channels that also have to be dredged. We are going to implement nature-based solutions, because a lot of the dredging is due to the massive amount of silt that has found its way into the channels. Mr. Speaker, we cannot be using money each and every year to be doing desilting, and then we come back to do the same desilting all over again. Mr. Speaker, the point is that there has been too much exposure and too many soils have been left exposed, and so there's a lot of runoff. Mr. Speaker, look at the case of Samre Boy. If you look at the pictures, you realize that within that flooding area, a lot of the roofs are new. They are not old. It's not the old town where this happened. Look at the roofs. A lot of them are new. What does that tell you? These are new areas that people are developing in. And you can tell they are getting close to the river. When the river is silted, the water doesn't have enough space to hold. So it will now pan out and find its way into the community. This is what has happened in a place like that. It is very unfortunate that this flooding happens. Mr. Speaker, we do not sleep. We have not slept. And I just want to assure Ghanaians that we're going to do everything possible with the funding that has been given, the funding that's being provided for the disaster relief, but also the necessary budgetary allocations should kindly be given on time so that we can do what we have to do. Mr. Speaker, we also have to manage our solid waste better. There are videos. I saw one video of, I actually thought it was a ship that was coming down the water channel, not knowing that it was a whole pack, massive pack of rubbish that was floating down. And then it goes to get stuck at the end of the drain. What are we doing? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Mr. Speaker, maybe
Yes, leadership.
Speaker, with your leave, may I yield my place to the Honorable Intim Fojo.
Yes, Honorable Intim Fojo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to thank the leadership for yielding the place to me and to thank the makers of the statement. And foremost, condolences and sympathies to all victims affected in the flood that occurred in Tema and Accra, especially the families of the 12 that lost their lives, the hundreds of thousands of households whose properties, homes, workplaces, churches, schools, and mosques were ravaged by floods, and the millions of individuals affected, and the thousands who have been displaced and now needing shelter, emergency reliefs, and support. Mr. Speaker, if you watched some of the sad flood situations and you saw our compatriots floating on the floods and crying for their lives, if you saw people who are carried away in their kiosk crying for help, and many children that were drowning, your first intuition will not be which political party they belong to. And all they are looking for is somebody to help them, to save them. It's not about NDC, it's not about NPP. It's not a time for blame shifting. It's not a time to point fingers. It's a time for action. It's a time for us to provide help. It's a time to solve this perennial situation. From all the contributions that have come up, one thing that is clear is that we know the solution. So if we know the solution, what the Ghanaian people expect of us is that now is the time, let us fix it once and for all. How many people are we expecting to die before we come and talk again? There were some concerns about how was funds in the past spent. Now we have the opportunity. Another 300 million cedis is going to be released. We should be concerned, how do we apply this 300 million cedis to ensure that the plights of the affected hundreds of thousands of people in Accra and Tema are solved? And how do we ensure that it will not be misappropriated, but the right measures deployed? We have Ghana Meteorological Agency who have predicted that within this week, apart from the rainstorm that occurred 2 days ago, today and tomorrow it will ease, but Thursday, from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it would expect similar volumes of rains. What that means is that we should be preparing for a similar disaster. Perish the thought, if God does not hear our prayers, and if nothing, contrary happens, and the prediction of GMET comes to pass, what that means is that we should be preparing for a disaster to the level of what we experienced 2 days ago. And therefore, it will not just be 300 million that is allocated, but this is a time that the government must declare Tema and Accra disaster emergency zone. All our security agencies and emergency relief agencies must be deployed full scale in the coordinated fashion, particularly to the high spots, the flash points. To how do we ensure that in the event that similar such floods occurs within the week, how do we timely go to the rescue of our compatriots? How do we ensure that certain roads that are blocked with intervention and coordination between urban roads and Ghana Highway authorities, we deploy adequate measures so that 300,000 that is going to be released should not just be monies on paper that may not be able to be accounted for. It should reflect in release commensurate to the people that are looking up to us for solutions. They are not looking up to us to play blame games. Let us be empathetic to our people. So after we have focused our energies in solving and responding to the emergency on our hands, we all have professed the solution. We need to now sit and properly structure that once and for all we have an opportunity to solve the perennial flooding situation in this country so that no Ghanaian life must be lost in a case that can be preventable. So we empathize with the larger population of Ghanaians particularly the Tema and Accra. When the president flew in a helicopter and looked around, there was not a single neighborhood in the Tema and Accra zone that was not flooded. That is a serious disaster. That is a serious emergency situation that requires adequate urgency. So we expect to see the Ministry of National Security, Interior, with the National Security deployed. All security agencies must bring their hands and expertise to bear, such that the 300 million cedis that is going to be released will be expended well to alleviate the plight of the residents of Accra, so that thereafter we solve this problem once and for all. Condolences and sympathies once again. Thank you.
Yes, majority leadership.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think a lot has been said by colleagues on the matter. As a House, I believe I speak for all of us if I on behalf of this House, express our most sincere condolences to the bereaved families, many who have lost their lives in the floods. Also, as a House, I believe I speak for all of us if I extend on your behalf our sympathy to those who are affected by the disaster.
That leadership, channels of communication,
Extend on your behalf our sympathy to those who are affected by the disaster. I believe there are many who still don't have a home to retreat to by close of business today. Many have had their belongings damaged. Many cannot even identify the location or whereabouts of their children.
Majority Leader, hold it, they should keep your time for you. Honorable Minority Leader, what rules have been breached?
Mr. Speaker, we in leadership are supposed to guide you. And when we reach an agreement and there's any need for variation, we have the usual channels of communication. Mr. Speaker, my chief whip made an application to you, and later, by understanding between us, I mean leadership, there was supposed to be a communication to you for a variation to allow one each, so that Mr. Ayerga and my good self would conclude. Mr. Speaker, when he got up, I had the impression that he was going to re-echo what had been said. But then I noticed that he was contributing. Mr. Speaker, my side spoke. I have a duty to close the views for and on behalf of my side. Mr. Speaker, it is true that you had earlier made a call, leadership, and my respected colleague indicated that Honorable Ntim Fojo should have his place. But, Mr. Speaker, the understanding prior was that he was going to speak.
I only want you to put it right. He said they are yielding to Honorable Ntim Fojo. That was the word he used.
Mr. Speaker, don't worry. I won't do any mischief with you. Please. Please. I am making the point, and I'll put out the fact. If in the end you say no, I will yield. But
yes.
Please hear me.
Okay.
My colleague, the Chief Whip, Honorable Anodompre, when you called leadership, the earlier understanding we had here was that he would have a bite before I conclude. And that was supposed to be communicated to you. So when you made a call and he yielded, it was our error that we should have given you that indication that this was the understanding that we've reached at the level of leadership, that there will be one more. Mr. Speaker, I don't have a problem. Well, Mr. Speaker, the majority, well, I don't, Mr. Speaker, the point is that we had an understanding to add one more to give way for our colleague to speak. We indicated that to the majority leader, Mr. Speaker, through our usual channels of communication. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we indicated that through the communication sent to you. Mr. Speaker, it is a usual practice in this house. No, but I mean, this
yes,
is a matter.
Honorable members, this one, without much we do, we agreed.
Yes.
Before
we agreed
the comment.
We agreed on the listen. We agreed on the number of people who will comment on both sides. So when it got to your turn for leadership to comment, you were not in the chamber. You were not in the chamber, unfortunately. And then your whip decided that for the slot of leadership, you were going to yield to him. So we agreed. Whilst he was speaking, you then came in and signaled to your whip that you wanted to contribute. And then you beckoned me, and I said, well, try and get the approval of the speaker. I don't have a problem if you get the approval of the speaker, so make an application. So I even turned and asked my side if any one of them was willing to speak, because we had gotten to the point where leaders were supposed to comment. So just get up and put in an application to the speaker. So you've yielded your slot to him, and unfortunately, you've lost it. But all the explanations you are giving, there was no such understanding. You came in late and you want to speak. Try and get the speaker to agree. If he doesn't agree, me, I'll continue my comments.
Members, I intend not to vary the decision reached by the House, that 5-5 plus leadership. And once the minority leadership has yielded to Honorable Intim Fojo, that suffices. Let us not create impression that somebody is doing anything wrong. Majority Leader, you have the floor.
So, Mr. Speaker, I just made 2 points that this House expresses our condolences to the families of those who have died, perished in this flooding incident, and to also express our sympathy for all those who got injured and those who have lost property and those who have been rendered destitute as a result of the flooding. I think that one key point emerges from our comments, which is that let's do less talking and let's take action. Less talking, more action. We need to act as leaders. And we need to act at all levels. Mention has been made of decentralization. The local government authorities are primarily responsible for the planning of their districts. Let them be serious about their job, which is planning and zoning and determining where residential property should be located, where other property should be located, and making way for drainage. We talked about financing. Let it be known that the infrastructure involved to solve this problem is huge, and therefore serious financing needs to be put in place. But financing cannot come from government alone.
financing must come from all interested parties. So those who build must invest in the drains in front of their homes. Assemblies must collect property rates and invest the property rates in the drainage infrastructure in the communities where they have collected the property rates. And assemblies must collect property rates and use them to invest in infrastructure for sanitation. Government has insisted that 80% of common fund must go to the assemblies. Guidelines have been given to them, but it is for the assemblies to invest their resources in the management of the sanitation from whatever other resources they can raise. They have IGF from property rates. They also collect market levies and etc. They collect lorry station levies and etc. All those can be invested in the sanitation infrastructure. Property owners must also be willing to invest in sanitation so that government, the local government authorities, and private developers together will effectively finance the drainage infrastructure needs of our country. This House, as a parliament, must monitor the process because all those institutions that must act are accountable to us. Be they local government authorities through their minister will be accountable to us. The Minister for Works and Housing accountable to us. The Finance Minister accountable to us. Indeed, the President himself is accountable to us. Let us as parliamentarians ensure that we fulfill this sacred duty of holding. Mr. Speaker, on that note, let me urge colleagues that let's play more active roles in our assemblies because the problem is at the local level. And if we don't support at that local level, the problem will not be solved. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, I once again express our condolences to the bereaved families, our sympathies to the victims of the flooding, and to also urge all of us to monitor closely the disbursements of the funds so that the funds that we have approved today, that's the 350 million Ghana cedis, will go to the right places so that we will alleviate the suffering of those who are suffering as a result of the flooding. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Statement time is ended. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Roads Committee has a report on the Maritime and Related Offences Bill, and so if we can take that as item 36. Page 17, item 36. 17.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaker, we can proceed. We can proceed. Yeah. He wants to do the second.
Yes, honorable members, at commencement of public business, motion numbered. Majority Leader, what did you say the number? Motion numbered 36. Honorable Minister for Transport, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that motion number 36 on today's order paper be moved today. Mr. Speaker, the motion seeks to ensure that we enact laws to prohibit piracy and also to prevent armed robbery at sea and give Ghana a legal framework to be able to prosecute
people who will engage in piracy, hijacking, and other maritime-related offenses at sea. As a country, we need to be current with other international conventions that we have signed to in terms of the maritime sector. And it is our belief that if this motion is carried by this august House, we will have the requisite legal framework to be able to deal with issues of piracy, armed robbery, and hijacking at sea. Mr. Speaker, it is my hope and appeal that the House will consider to take this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I heard the minister say something, but I just want to understand, within the context of the rules that we operate with, what exactly did he do? I heard him say something. Was he moving a motion? Was he making a ministerial statement? What exactly did the minister do? Mr. Speaker, I just want to understand.
Honorable Minority Leader, the minister moved the motion numbered 36.
Mr. Speaker,
and
with
after
respect
moving,
to you, Mr. Speaker, with
can
respect
you hear
to
me
you,
out?
Yes, because he didn't move
After
a motion.
moving the motion,
He didn't.
he indicated that what I have heard, that there is a need to prosecute and punish the offenders in the sector. So he is praying that the House adopt this motion. This is what I have heard.
Mr. Speaker, I may tell you what I also heard. Mr. Speaker, I paid attention to him with respect. I paid attention to him from start to finish. If it is your pleasure that he has moved this motion, Mr. Speaker, I shall yield to you. You are the presiding officer.
Very well. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, what the minority leader thinks he heard is immaterial. What you have heard is the most important thing. If Mr. Speaker heard that a motion has been moved, a motion has been moved.
Honourable members, let us not belabor this point. I would. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I disagree with the contention by the majority leader that what members here in this House is immaterial. Mr. Speaker, we are here to guide the chair. I only out of respect yielded to you because you are the presiding officer. But for the majority leader to state for the records that when a member hears a submission, which submission does not conform to the rules, amount to nothing, Mr. Speaker, I beg to submit. It's neither here nor there. You made a point. I didn't want to argue with you.
But unfortunately, you have not stated the rules that the minister has
Mr.
breached.
Speaker, under what rules did he himself also come? If you are moving a motion, you move a motion. A motion is to be properly moved.
He started by saying that he wants to move the motion numbered.
Mr. Speaker, if a member
36.
says, I want to move a motion number this, does that amount to moving a motion? Mr. Speaker, I don't want to challenge you.
No,
but if you want to come to his rescue, Mr. Speaker, then come to his rescue well.
You are being semantic.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not. How do you move a motion? There's a way, a manner, a motion is moved. But Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to litigate.
Honorable,
After all, the majority leader says that
members,
what we hear
I don't want
is immaterial. So no problem. Mr. Speaker,
majority and the minority leader
Mr. Speaker,
to
you are
be
the
listening.
presiding officer.
So the motion is ably moved. I will then call on the chairman of the committee to present the committee's reports.
You have taught us in this House how to respect procedure, and I'm not litigating. 97.3 is clear. If it is the case that the minister is laying a paper, then what he did will suffice. Why he's coming up under 165, second reading, a motion of a second reading, he did not have to preface with those explanatory, elucidation. Speaker, so by procedure, Speaker, you are in charge. You can decide to ignore. But for the records,
No,
he did not move the motion as a second reading of a bill. He did not do it well.
I have
Speaker,
not
for the
seen
records.
anything,
I'm not dragging this matter.
anything
Just for the records.
procedurally wrong.
For the records,
Because the minister or a member is moving a motion and urging upon the House to agree and adopt the motion. If he has any reason to convince the House to agree on the motion, stating that is not of a problem.
Speaker, we admire you.
Yes,
you have always insisted on procedure.
Yes, but stating that is not a problem within the rules.
Procedurally, you came under 97. I think you were coming under 97.3, which is wrong. That is when you are laying a paper and you have to give explanation to the paper. 97.3. But when you are coming under 163, which is second reading of a bill, where we are moving a motion for the report to be taken, you did not do it well. So Minister, just proceed and read what is there, and then your chairman, even second reading, he cannot second. That is second reading. Your chairman can come and support and present the report. So it's done.
Honorable Chairman of the committee, I call upon you to present the committee's report.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Your committee met to deliberate on the bill. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
At second reading, you don't second the motion.
Okay. So,
please, nobody should mislead the chairman. You started well by presenting the committee's report. Go ahead and present the committee's report.
Mr. Speaker, in presenting your committee's report, I request that the hazard section captures the entirety of the report, whilst I concentrate on the main areas. Mr. Speaker, the bill seeks to prohibit piracy, robbery at sea, and other maritime-related offenses, and give effect to the provisions of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, 1982, the International Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Maritime Navigation, 1988, and its related protocols. Mr. Speaker, the committee affirms that the Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026 represents a landmark in the Ghana's efforts to secure its maritime space and consolidate its role as a hub in the Gulf of Guinea. The bill provides the legal framework to prohibit piracy aimed at armed robbery and other unlawful acts at the sea, whilst aligning Ghana's laws with international conventions. Speaker, the committee therefore urges all relevant stakeholders to commit to the necessary resources and institutional focus to operationalize the framework. The committee therefore recommends the approval of this report and passage of the bill to ensure that the maritime industry is governed by a complete, enforceable, and internationally credible regime. Respectfully submitted.
Honourable members, motion move and the report presented. We then proceed to debate the second reading on the basis of the explanatory memorandum and the report of the committee. The floor is now open. Yes, Honourable Lanodompre.
Speaker, let me from the outset commend the chair of the committee and, of course, the minister for dedication to ensure that we pass into law this bill. And Speaker, you encapsulated the imperative of Order 1667, which is the second reading of a bill. So I've gone through the report. I think it's long overdue that as a country we should have such a piece of legislation. So it's important, but not just its passage, ultimate passage, of the bill into an act. I am looking at the future where we can really enforce it. Then the report also captures fiscal impact analysis. It's often been said, many a time these bills come and we say that, well, it will bear minimal impact on the consolidated fund. I just hope that what is captured by the report of the committee a thorough work has been done, and the cost, I see some figures being quoted in the report, if indeed these figures reflect the reality, because it sounds quite minimal. And I hope, Chairman, that a good work has been done by the outfit of the ministry to get this impact analysis done properly. Speaker, having said this, I think it's a straightforward matter. We need to support it. We need to regulate activities on our shores and our maritime activities. So I will commend the leadership of the committee, the minister, and urge the entire House to support the passage of the report. I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Rashid Palpo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the report of the Committee on Roads and Transport on the Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026. Mr. Speaker, maritime regulations and laws, domestic, are critical because they satisfy a broad dimension of conventions and agreements and sometimes bilateral agreements signed specific to maritime issues. And it's important that our seas are guided, protected, away from intruders, and especially people who try to subvert the laws. And this law is critical. In fact, it should have been passed yesterday, meaning that it should have existed long before this time, to ensure that we have full protection of what belongs to us, because the sea and the portion of the sea that is of our control is critical for us to protect, because it's part of the resources of this country. It is very critical for us to have full control of these places, this portion of our land, so we can effectively harness the resources that are there. Issues about seafarers violating the rules has been very pronounced in Ghana, especially for countries that are a little distance away and have the capacity to veer into our places, our sea areas. And so I want to support it so we can ensure that there's a proper legal frame that enhances the usage of our portion of the sea. Mr. Speaker, it's still important because I've taken note of the report saying that it's important to have wider knowledge of it, to have broadcast and involve the public and stakeholders into whatever is happening. The most important thing is that if people are aware of what is legal about what is happening, then it helps in enforcing the law rigorously. If they are not aware, the violations are too many. And indeed, we all know that ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but that is going to mean that the law will not be properly articulated and enforced within the boundaries of our domestic framework. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the report, and I hope and pray that the rest of us also give it the full support we require to get the law passed, the bill passed into law. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, at the conclusion of the debate, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted.
An act to prohibit piracy, robbery at sea, and other maritime-related offences give effect to the provisions of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in respect of piracy and the International Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts against the safety of maritime navigation, 1988, and related protocols, and provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026 is now duly read for the second time. Yes, Majority Leader.
Right, Honourable Speaker. With your indulgence, we want the Minister to take motion itemized 37 to abridge time for us to take the bill through the consideration stage.
We can move it to the consideration stage, but we can't take consideration stage for today. Yes?
Leader. I mean support, so we can just do, he can take the 37, he can move 37, we move to consideration, then we can suspend and come. There are other conventions and agreement that we have to pass, then we can take those agreements.
Very well. Minister for Transport, motion number 37.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that motion number 37 be moved today through the consideration stages.
Motion moved. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second.
Motion moved and seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. This is a procedural motion.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
If you admit this motion, then you have to let us do consideration.
You let me finish what I am doing.
If we don't intend to do consideration,
let me finish
we'll
what
just wait till tomorrow
let me finish
morning.
what I am doing. Motion moved and seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. It's a procedural motion. The question is, as many as are in favor, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. And now, the Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026 at consideration stage. Well, Majority Leader, I have no physician. If you want to do the consideration stage, I don't have a problem.
That is so.
Once we've agreed to do the consideration.
I endeavored to summon the Minister, his deputy, and his chairperson to try and do that today so that he can get off our way. So if you indulge me, Mr. Speaker, and particularly there aren't many amendments proposed. So we'll be able to, for instance, first 6 clauses, there are no amendments. The rest are very minor amendments. So thank you for indulging us. So Chairman, if we can start with the consideration stage.
Yes. Speaker, shall we be guided on the provisions of 169? Order 169. Order 169 says that ordinarily the bill at a second reading shall not be taken through consideration stage until at least 2 sitting days. But Speaker, I am not pressing anything. If it is the pleasure of the leader that we should take a few.
That is why you moved the motion number 37 to waive that procedural requirement. So, very well. As indicated, Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026 at consideration stage, clause 1.
Mr. Speaker, no advertised amendment proposed.
Please wait for the clause to be taken before.
Application.
Yes, Chairman of the committee.
No amendment proposed.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 1? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 1 standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. Clause 1 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 2.
Object of Act.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, no advertised amendment proposed.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 2? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put the question. As many as are in favor of clause 2 standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Clause 2 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 3.
Role of Ghana Maritime Authority.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, no advertised amendment proposed.
Honourable members, no advertised amendment to clause 3 of the bill. Honourable members, any proposed amendment? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 3 standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Clause 3 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 4.
Jurisdiction.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, no advertised.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 4 standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Clause 4 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 5.
Piracy.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, no advertised amendment proposed.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 5? Honourable members, in the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 5, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Clause 5 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 6.
Robbery at the sea. At sea.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, no advertised amendment proposed.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendments? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Clause 6 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 7.
Offences against safe navigation of a vessel.
Chairman of the committee.
Speaker, there is amendment proposed. Paragraph H, lines 2 and 3, delete biological, radiological, chemical, nuclear weapon, and insert biological, radioactive, chemical, or nuclear weapon.
The proposed amendment is for the consideration of the House. Yes. Honorable Anodompre.
Chair should be professing some reasons, some thinking into why he's proposing this amendment. I don't get the logic. I thought it was the same, but should be able to explain why you are making these arrangements.
Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Speaker, you come again, please. It's okay.
They want you to give reasons for the proposed amendment. I think they are doing this because of the terminology involved. Instead of radiological.
Yeah, radiological is wrong.
Radioactive.
It's radioactive.
I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of the proposed amendment, say aye. Those against, say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Honourable members, I'll put a question on entire clause 7 in the absence of any further amendment. Those in favor of clause 7 as amended standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. Clause 7 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 8.
Transportation of prohibited materials and persons.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, no advertised amendment is proposed.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 8? Honourable members, in the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 8 standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Clause 8 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 9.
Offenses against fixed platforms and floating platforms at sea.
Chairman of the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker. There is amendment proposed to the clause. Paragraph A, line 2, after platform, delete or the cargo of the vessel.
Honourable members, the proposed amendment is for the consideration of the House. Any further amendment? I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of the proposed amendment. Yes, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, clause 9B.
Honourable Minister, let's finish the A.
Okay, thank
then
you.
Before
Mr.
I put a
Speaker.
question on entire 9, you can move amendment on B. The chairman's amendment is on A. As many as are in favor of the proposed amendment by the chairman of the committee, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Now to the entire clause 9.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted the sponsor of the bill to explain 9B. Engages in an act of violence against a person on a fixed platform or floating platform. Engages in an act of violence. How do we make a determination of that? If you attempt to slap somebody, that can be an act of violence. If you physically assault a person, it can be an act of violence. Engages in an act of violence against a person, unless, of course, probably the act of violence is defined in the interpretation section. But I want an explanation what that means. Thank you.
Yes, Chairman of the committee. Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are talking of offenses against fixed platforms and floating platforms at sea. At times when these platforms are hijacked, the pirates or the robbers physically abuse people. And since it is on the sea, you should be able to prevent the abuses on some of the passengers or the workers on those vessels or platforms. So we believe that there should be laws to restrict you, even though if you have hijacked or you are attempting to rob them, you shouldn't be so abusive of them. And so this one will help us to be able to press more charges against anybody who will be engaged in physical abuses on platforms.
Yes, Minister for Education, if you look at page 18, fixed platform and floating platform has been defined. And if you just oppose the meaning, it really makes sense. Yes? Yes?
So I was wondering if you read ahead from engages in acts of violence, which the minister had issues with, and then he goes ahead to say, a platform, in effect, an act of violence that is likely to endanger the safety of a fixed platform or a floating platform. That also raises a question, because that could be relative.
Yes.
If the act will endanger the platform and the act of violence is not defined, then it poses a certain relativity. That's my thinking. I don't know what. And that is how I was agreeing with the Minister of Education when he raised issues about the act of violence. When the kind of act of violence is
I
not
agree with you, an act which is likely to constitute stealing cannot be stealing. So the use of the word likely, Chairman and Minister, what do you say? Yes, Majority Leader.
I think to endanger safety on the fixed platform safety on the platform. Because after the safety of the platform is a physical infrastructure, and as the Minister for Education indicated, how does a slap endanger the physical infrastructure of a platform? But safety on the platform, because it's an island standing on the ocean. So if you assault somebody on the platform, you are creating an unsafe situation on the platform. I think that what the bill is seeking to prohibit is violence on a platform. Because unlike Nima, where I can run into some corner, on the platform, you have no other place to run to. You will fall into the sea. So any act of violence on anybody on a platform creates unsafety on the platform. So I believe that it is safety on the platform that we are seeking to prohibit. But you can explain for the minister.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, at times when pirates or these hijackers are on such platforms, maybe the fellow operating the platform or the fellow engaged in operational work on the platform, if the fellow is physically abused, it can lead to him not being able to operate the system. That is likely to endanger the whole platform.
So my understanding is that they are not talking about the acts that cause damage to the platform, but they are prohibiting acts likely to cause damage to the platform. That's what they are prohibiting. So in this case, I think it is correct. I'll put a question on entire 9 as amended by the chairman of the committee. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 9 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 10.
Related maritime offences.
Chairman of the committee.
Right Honourable Speaker, there is amendment proposed. So paragraph J, after act, insert all. Thank you.
The proposed amendment is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members. I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of the proposed amendment by the chairman of the committee say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Honourable members, I will then put a question on the entire clause. Yes. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Speaker. I didn't know you had called me. Speaker, I'm looking at the 9, and I realize that there is no punishment attached to it, the offenses. I know that where we create an offense, there's always punishment attached to it. And so I wanted to draw attention of the...
Have you gone to the offenses column?
I'm just looking at offenses against fixed platform and floating platform as C. I just looked at it, so I'm just wondering if they have made provision for punishment, that's fine, but
very well.
On the face of it, I don't see the punishment.
Very well. Very well. No, it's here. He said, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a term of imprisonment of not less than 15 years and not more than life imprisonment.
Okay, Speaker, with respect, which section did you read?
Under 10, under K, at page 11.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Thank you.
So let me then put a question on entire 10. As many as are in favor, yes.
Mr. Speaker, just a little
clarity again. 10A. Mr. Speaker, when you say seizes, detains, are we not being repetitive? What's the difference between seizes and detain? Seizes, detains, or threatens to kill. And then, Mr. Speaker, we are passing a law. Then you come to 10B, allow or permit. We can choose one of them. But why would you say allow or permit a vessel, fixed platform or floating platform, cargo or any other property? I just thought that we need to be elegant with our construction. When seizes and detain.
Well, I agree with you that seize, the use of the word seize is not the appropriate terminology.
Yes.
Because arrest, restricted, or detain. So that person.
Yeah, but in reality, we can't depart from what the Constitution says. This is subservient to the Constitution.
So, honourable members, I will ask Honourable John Dako to put his proposal into an amendment and let the House take decision on it.
Speaker, with respect, so I ask that the clause 11(2)(d) be deleted.
The proposal is to delete clause 11(2)(d). I'll put a question in the absence of any further proposal. As many as are in favor, say aye. Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I will want to ask that we read D and E together so that we'll be able to understand why D is in place there. D and E, because or tampering with or suppression of evidence or an act in a manner that affects an investigation processes. If you read it to the end, you understand why D is important.
Then you have to reframe it to mean in the course of the performance of a duty by that person. So if you are given a duty to perform, and in relation to that particular duty, when you are questioned, you cannot refuse to answer. That may be more understandable than the way we put it, that the law enforcement officer is performing a lawful duty. Therefore, you are under obligation to speak. No, it's not there in the sense that that person, what is here is the law enforcement or any authorized person performing lawful duty. So whether or not you are performing your lawful duty or not, when they ask you a question, you are supposed to answer. Yes.
I think, apart from that, the two can stand independent. The D can stand on its own. The D, of course, the D cannot stand, but the E can stand on its own.
The proposal is to delete only D.
Yes.
So we are not talking about E.
He says we should read the D in consultation with the E. Then we can get the meaning. And I'm saying that the E can stand on its own leg.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I think we let go the D and maintain the E.
Yes, very well. I will then put a question. Those in favor of E being deleted, D being deleted, say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment by John Dako to delete clause 11(2)(d) is ordered to stand part of the House, part of the bill. Yes, honorable members. In the absence of any further amendment, I'll put a question on clause 11. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. So we are being advised that for consistency's sake, we should rather do it in line with clause 1(3).
A person can be in custody, but when you say a custody, do we assume that goods can be a custody or a preliminary inquiry carried out in respect of an offense committed under this act shall be in accordance with the Criminal and Other Offences Act? So 16, Mr. Speaker, an arrest
to put an offense prescribed, in my view, may amount to tautology. Exactly. So we can take the prescribed from there. And so it runs through in 3, where necessary an offense prescribed under this act. So I respectfully, that is if it's admitted first, that prescribed, Mr. Speaker, is deleted so that we can keep offense.
Very well. I'll put a question. As many as are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. The ayes have it. A proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Now on entire clause 18. Those in favor say aye. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 18 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 19. Clause 19. John, put your microphone off.
Notification of custody and preliminary inquiry.
Chairman of the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, no advertised amendment.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any
Speaker,
proposed? Yes.
Speaker, with respect, would you also order that this thing is consequentially amended and offense prescribed? It's also in
Very well. It's consequential. Consequentially are direct. Drafters, take care of prescribed, offense prescribed. Offense is an offense.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
It appears to be.
I think offense prescribed is used to refer to a particular specific offense that the law prescribes. So the drafters, you do your check before you...
Is there any offense that is not a prescribed act?
Yes, but then the rendition offense prescribed.
So what is offense prescribed?
Any specific...
Is it in the interpretation?
Yeah, I've just checked, and it says an offense prescribed refers to any specific criminal act that is forbidden by law. So I'm saying they should check, you know, in terms of drafting language.
Offense
prescribed.
Offense
prescribed.
I'm saying that offense is any activity that is criminalized by law.
Yes.
Yes. So to call it offense prescribed is what we are agreeing with him that it may mean some tautology kind of thing.
I agree with him initially, but
Just
decided to check.
What do you say?
The draft persons, can they participate in debate?
No, I'm not asking them to participate. You advise me. So the drafters agree with us that it should be an offense under this act, not offense prescribed. So I'll put a question on 19, subject to the consequential amendment. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 19 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 20.
Submission of reports to the organization.
Chairman of the committee.
No advertised amendment proposed.
It is for the consideration of the House. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, 2 observations for the promoter of the bill. The authority shall send a report. Is it an annual report or a mid-year report? What kind of report? I thought that we should not just say report. Then, Mr. Speaker,
if you look at the closing phrase, it says report on the following matters. Then the matters are spelled out. So it could not be either annual report or whatever. So there must be a report on the circumstances concerning an incident reported or an offense committed under this act. So it is only when the act has occurred that you can come in to report. But if for a whole year that offense or that act never took place, you have nothing to report on. Then the B, an action taken and measures taken in relation to the offender or alleged offender. So it's talking about specific circumstances. Yes, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 20 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 21.
Regulations.
Chairman of the committee.
Right, Honourable Speaker, there are amendments proposed here. There's also further amendment to the third line, and I read, opening phrase, delete and insert the following. The minister shall, within 12 months of the coming into force of this act, by legislative instrument, make regulations and not relations to provide for. Regulations and not relations.
Very well. That is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any further amendment? I'll put a question. As many as are in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Now, I'll put a question on entire clause 21 in the absence of any further amendment. The question is, as many as are in favor of clause 21 as amended, standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Clause 21 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes, clause 22.
Interpretation.
Chairman of the committee.
No amendment proposed.
Honourable members, it is for the consideration of the House. Any proposed amendment to clause 22? I'll put a question. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 22 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 23.
Repeals and savings.
Chairman of the committee.
No amendment proposed, Mr. Speaker.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 23 dealing with repeals and savings? I'll put a question. Those in favor say aye. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 23 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 24.
Consequential amendments.
Chairman of the committee.
No amendment proposed.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 24 dealing with consequential amendments? I'll put a question. Those in favor say aye. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 24 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Long title. Long title.
An act to prohibit piracy, robbery at sea, and other maritime-related offenses. Give effect to the provisions of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in respect of piracy and the International Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts against the Safety of Maritime Navigation, 1988, and related protocols, and provide for related matters.
Honourable members, any proposed amendment to the long title? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question on the long title. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The long title is ordered to stand part of the bill. And now we've come to the end of consideration stage for Maritime Unrelated Offences Bill 2026. Yes?
Speaker, with respect, I thought we were going to come back to the full bill. When you started, I wasn't around, and I just noticed something. If you permit me, in section clause 5, if you permit me to.
Not when I come to the end of consideration stage. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I think we...
He wants to raise a small one. If you want to raise it, or you want to abandon it. If you want to raise it before me.
So let us know.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, even though we come to the end of consideration, the Honorable John Daku has hinted that he wants to deal with a small matter in respect of the bill by way of second consideration. So if you may hear him briefly, Mr. Speaker.
The rules are clear.
Yes.
So if you make the application by way of a motion, if the House adopts the motion, then he will be given the floor to take the bill through second consideration. But I cannot do it as of right.
Speaker, I seek your leave to move that the bill be taken through second consideration to enable Honorable John Daku to deal with a small matter that...
Yes, motion moved. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I think there's a procedural motion that should precede that.
Well, normally we'll have to do this when a motion for a third reading is about to be moved.
Yes, that's when
that is the point that you move.
You arrest it.
You arrest the motion and then you move that the bill be taken through a second consideration. Then you can raise your issue at that level before the third reading. Honourable members, I'm doing this because if care is not taken, you will conclude a bill and somebody, the day of the conclusion, somebody will say, I want to do something on clause so and so. Then the next day it happens. So once the rule is there to serve as a guide, let the rules guide us and then we'll follow it in doing what we are supposed to do.
Mr. Speaker, on that note, I think we've done 5 hours. We've done 5 hours.
Except you are going to take the motion 39, and when we get to motion 40, then we can arrest. Other than that, we defer.
Mr. Speaker, then let's just do it. Let's just do it. So let's do 39, and then do the second consideration.
Is that the sense of the House?
Take 40. Yes. Take 40 as well.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
No objection,
Very well. I cannot see Honorable John Daku on the chair. Very well, very well. Motion number 39. Minister for Transport.
The minister. The minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that motion numbered 39 on today's order paper be moved. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, procedural motion number 39 moved. Any seconder?
I second, Mr. Speaker.
Motion moved and seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. This is a procedural motion. I will therefore put a question. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed, the motion is accordingly adopted. And then we now move to consequential motion number 40. Minister for Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that.
So, Honorable John Daku, this is the time for you to arrest the motion.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for your guidance. And so I therefore move that the bill be taken through second consideration.
Yes, motion move for second consideration. Any seconder?
Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
The motion move for second consideration is duly seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and accordingly, the bill, the Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026, will be taken through second consideration. Yes, Honorable John Dako.
Speaker, I thank you very much. Speaker, clause 5 of the bill, 5.2, Speaker, it reads, a person who, without an offensive weapon or offensive missile, or B, with an offensive weapon or offensive missile. Speaker, it's a bit confusing, and so I propose that the said clause be amended to read as follows, that A, the 2 will read, a person who, with or without an offensive weapon, or with or without an offensive missile, commit an offense under the Act. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Well, in this case, you are the mover. Any specific reason?
Yeah,
because the sense is the same.
No, Mr. Speaker, the other one is a bit clumsy. If you look at the A, without an offensive weapon or offensive missile. So, offensive weapon, offensive missile on the same line. Then when you come to B, with an offensive weapon or offensive missile, it's a bit confusing. And so to make it clearer and cleaner,
it comes to the same thing.
No, but in my proposal is with or without an offensive weapon.
I thought you will be asking whether is there a missile which is not offensive.
Speaker?
You see, the rendition that you are proposing is the same thing that is here, but put in A or B.
No, Mr. Speaker.
So I will agree with you based on brevity principle. But in terms of that, the sense that the provision is trying to capture is one and the same.
Exactly. That was the point I'm making. But Mr. Speaker, your question also popped up in my head. But, you know, when we were considering, I wasn't around, so I thought it had been taken care of. Whether we have a missile which is not an offensive missile. But, Mr. Speaker, my proposal at this point is for the purpose of brevity. Thank you.
So the rendition should be a person without a weapon or a missile. B or B with a weapon or a missile.
No respect, Speaker. It should read, if you may, a person who, with or without an offensive weapon, that's A, or B, with or without an offensive missile.
Yes, that's why I'm questioning.
But that's how the thing reads. No, but so look at the original rendition. The original rendition says that a person who, A, without an offensive weapon or offensive missile, that is A, or B, with an offensive weapon or offensive missile.
It's a repetition.
And I'm saying that just for purpose of brevity, put offensive weapon and offensive offensive on one line and missile on another. Weapon one line, missile different line.
Honourable members.
Yes.
In drafting, the clarity principle takes precedence over the brevity principle. Whatever will make the provision very clear and understandable will take precedence over you trying to make it brief. So when we look at your proposed amendment and the rendition as it is now, it doesn't differ in meaning. It carries one and the same meaning. Now you are talking about the brevity principle. But if the brevity principle will bring a bit of an absurdity, uncertainty, then you go against the clarity principle, which is cardinal, to make it A and B, so the ordinary person who takes it to read will get the meaning clearly. So the rendition as it is fine, it doesn't cause any harm, it's very clear. That's my view, but it's subject to the views of the House. Yes, let me hear you.
Speaker, if I may be heard, my difficulty is the use of offensive weapon. Now, what is this provision forbidding? In my view, is the use of weapon. Now, is it the case that you can have a weapon that's not offensive? No. I've checked the meaning of a weapon. And a weapon is also defined as an offensive weapon because it causes damage, it causes destruction. So, from the way the provision has been drafted, I think that taking away the adjective offensive will be key, so that we limit it to the use of a weapon and a missile to craft the penal provision, in my view. And then two, so in support of what John is saying, so we introduce missile, we introduce weapon, and in line 1, and introduce missile in B. Because it appears that in both lines, the adjective offensive affects the four phrases that are introduced in there.
You see, my understanding is that you can be guilty of the offense by the use of weapon or missile. You can also be guilty of this offense without the use of weapon or missile. That is why the framers classify it into category A and category B, which for me is very clear. So if you try to put the category A and B together, it may bring a problem. So the provision as it is correct. Dealing with the categories separately. Yes, Niashi.
Thank you.
I'll come to you.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will agree with Honorable Chief Whip on the removal of the adjective. Then also, I think that there are various kinds of weapons, of which a missile is a subset. And so I will want to recommend that in order to make it clearer and not to make people assume that a missile is a different thing and then a weapon is a different thing, we should also use the word weapon, which covers both of them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That boils down to the fact as to whether a missile is the same as a weapon. Yes, former defense minister.
Mr. Speaker, they are not the same. They are not the same at all.
Yes, I know they are not the same.
But, Mr. Speaker, it depends on the context under which we use the word weapon. Because in the technical definition of weapon, they are just any tool that we use to cause distraction, harm, or overpower an opponent. But, Mr. Speaker, there are sometimes there's a broader meaning to weapon. As lawyers, your weapon could be even your arguments that you use. The strategies you use, they are all weapons. So that's why I'm saying that you have to look at the context under which it's used. Because what you use to defeat an opponent, to overpower an opponent, may not necessarily be an offensive weapon, like a gun or cutlass or something. If it's about law issues, I'm saying that I'm just making. That's why they're using the offensive weapon, because the claws of if an animal is a cat is a weapon that it uses. The strategies that if you go to court, that's a weapon, even though it may not necessarily be gun. So that's why I'm asking whether the context really talks about the context under which the bill is talking about offensive weapons like guns, like missiles, like whatever it is, to maim, to kill, to wound. If that is that, then in that case, the offensive weapon is okay. Otherwise, if you cocoon it and just say that every weapon is maybe used for harm, it may not necessarily be so.
Yes, that is why the drafters are saying that we should maintain offensive weapon to make that distinction that the former minister is talking about clear. Leader, let me hear him. I'll come to you. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I also just want to add my voice to see if we can tidy up that provision better. When I'm reading it, I get a bit confused. So, for instance, Mr. Speaker, I would have proposed that we go about it this way. A person who commits an act of piracy under subsection 1, with or without an offensive weapon or missile, is liable on summary conviction. And then it follows. Because the way it is at the moment, Mr. Speaker, it appears as though once, like for instance, a person who, without an offensive weapon or offensive missile, or with an offensive weapon or offensive missile, commits an act, that alone gives an impression that once you have an offensive weapon or an offensive missile, or you don't have it, you are committing an act. But the intent here is to say that whether you have it or not, once you commit the act of piracy, then you are liable, and then it mentions the punishment. So if you put it this way, that a person who commits an act of piracy under subsection 1, then we now go back to with or without an offensive weapon or missile, we can maintain commit an offense and is liable on summary conviction.
We cannot adopt that your approach in the sense that if you look at 5.1, it says a person commits an act of piracy if the person, so that one has come. You understand? So the 2 is talking about how the offense can be committed. You can commit the offense of piracy without the use of offensive weapon or a missile. You can also commit the same offense with the use of offensive weapon. In the 2 situations, you are committing an offense of piracy. So if you look at the way it is structured from 1 before coming to 2, you realize that the approach adopted here is the best. But if we insist, let me put a question. Yes.
Speaker, I think we would bring the clarity out properly if we adopt the approach, the drafting approach in 5.1a. And what did they do? They divided A into a Roman numeral 1 and 2. So let me demonstrate here. So 5.2, a person who A, without I, an offensive weapon, or II, without an offensive missile. And then we come to B, with an offensive weapon or offensive missile commits an act of piracy under subsection 1. So when we introduce those 2 Roman numerals, 1 and 2, the clarity, so that there will be a conduct that will be captured by Roman numeral 1 without an offensive weapon. There will be another conduct that will be captured by Roman numeral 2 without an offensive missile. Because of how they drafted 5.1A, B, and C, we don't have any difficulty with understanding the meaning they want to convey.
You
So,
see,
Speaker,
if you look at 5.1,
yes,
it says a person commits an offense of
Yes.
piracy
yes,
if that person,
yes,
being a crew member
yes,
or
or
passenger of a private vessel or
a private
aircraft
yes,
engages in an act of violence,
yes,
detention,
depredation,
or depredation
directed
on, then this one comes.
Yes.
So that is the category that this one is being dealt with.
Exactly.
And now the B
Yes.
is also saying a person commit an act of piracy
Yes.
if the person
Yes.
engages
in an act of voluntary.
So that one too is also described.
Exactly.
Before the C.
Incites. Or
So
intentionally.
those things are categorized.
Yes.
So the 2
Yes.
is then talking about a person committing the offense
Yes.
by the use of a weapon.
Yes.
Or without the use of a weapon. And then there is a closing phrase. The understanding of the closing phrase means that from the beginning to the end, you commit an act of piracy under subsection 1, commit an offense, and you are liable.
Yes.
So under the whole subsection 1,
yes,
you understand? Anybody, you commit
of
an
that,
offense.
yes.
So I think this is very clear and understandable, and then the readers will know what we are talking about, and that is the essence of law.
Speaker, humbly, the difficulty we have is that the clarity that 5.1 conveys, 5.2 is not conveying a similar clarity.
The 5.2 is
Yes.
saying that
Yes.
either you commit
Yes. With or without.
with or without the
yes.
use of
Yes.
weapon.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
That is what John Dako is proposing, that we say simpliciter. Is that not so?
But we are not seeing the break
Now,
clearly.
the drafters are also
It's a
saying,
break.
the drafters are also saying that it becomes 2 acts. You are talking about 2 things.
Yes.
So in a situation where you are talking about 2 things,
Yes.
you make it A and B to make it clearer.
Yes, but Mr. Speaker, in the first option of A, there's an alternative. You see, there's an alternative. So
No, in the first A, it's just saying that a person who without, and
An
then
offensive weapon
the
or
B is
without
saying
an
that the
offensive
person
missile.
with.
Yes.
So these are the 2.
Yes, but in A, you have without an offensive weapon or without an offensive missile. Yes, okay, let me leave it.
Mr. Speaker, I want to urge that we allow the A and B to stand. You see, you can rob without a weapon. You can rob without an offensive weapon. Without an offensive weapon. You can be a member or a crew member, and you can take seizure of a vessel. So we are talking of robbery at sea, the piracy that happens. People will, in a way, being on board, can take custody of the ship or the vessel and using either a weapon or without a weapon. So that is why it is in there that that you can, by technology, you can make a seizure of a vessel. And you can do that with a weapon. So either with a weapon or without a weapon. And that is why I believe that the 2, the A and B, should stay.
Speaker, if I may.
Honourable members, let me hear from the majority leader. In fact, as a matter of fact, we are not saying that the provision is wrong.
At all.
He is moving on the principle of brevity.
Yes.
So why would the brevity take over the clarity which the drafters are talking about?
Speaker,
that's the issue.
No, Speaker,
so on the principle of brevity, we cannot be dragging the way we are dragging.
Speaker, in dealing with his brevity issue, we've moved away. Now we are talking about clarity.
Yes.
Now we are actually talking about clarity.
Yes.
And from what the Honorable Minister said, with all due respect, if you take somebody's property that is not yours without weapons, with all due respect, that's stealing. That's not robbery. Robbery only comes in when you do so under use of weapon or all that. Now, but still, you introduce weapon into the act. Now, from where I sit, Speaker humbly, I think that the drafters should consider breaking A into II and perhaps B2 also into II. The clarity will be much better than what I see. That's my humble view, Mr. Speaker. We'll hear leader and then maybe.
Well, I will just direct the drafters to consider whether the current position is correct or it should be amended further. Now the motion for third reading. I have directed the drafters. So we have come to an end of the consideration stage. Minister for Transport, motion numbered 40.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move motion number 40 that the Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026 be now read the third time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Any seconder? Motion ably moved.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I second it.
Honourable members, motion moved and seconded, and it is for the consideration of the House. I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of the motion numbered 40 at page 18 of today's order paper, say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted.
An act to prohibit piracy, robbery at sea, and other maritime-related offences, give effect to the provisions of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in respect of piracy and the International Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts against the Safety of Maritime Navigation, 1988, and related protocols, and provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the Maritime and Related Offences Bill 2026 is now duly read for the third time and accordingly passed. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we can only thank members for helping to have this bill passed. I think we've done more than 5 hours, and so we're in your hands.
Very well. Having done more than 5 hours, I will proceed to adjourn the House under Standing Order 56-2. The House is accordingly adjourned till Wednesday, the 1st day of July 2026 at 12 noon.